Wasn't it just a couple of weeks ago? I was showing you this. And boy, I'm telling you. Just when you thought I was out, they pulled me right back in. I was the guy who was trying to warn you here. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was warning you where this was going. And if you've been following us here on The Business, you are aware of that. So, one down. And of course, one to go. Yes, sir. Not to be outdone. Let me tell you, the chicks pushing 60 are still trying to trade on sex appeal. Grandma's gone wild. Okay, folks, Toni Braxton, apparently, I guess she figures, well, Halle Berry got a little bit of attention for it here, so she shouldn't get to be left out. But Toni Braxton, now she's jumping out the window with no drawers on, or only half drawers on. So she's hopping out. Just so y'all be aware. Because they're watching what's happening here. They're watching what's happening. And I was warning you. I've been telling you the whole time that this is where it is. Now, I know what else is going on. Of course I do. And if you look at the thumbnail image for tonight's program, then of course you know that I know. So, of course, I'm aware of all the others going on in that regard. And there's lessons to be learned here. There are lessons to be learned here because there's a question, and tonight's program is going to be very antagonistic to some people. It is going to be very antagonistic to some people here, but it's important. And, you know, for the last few weeks, I know some of the fellows are not happy because I'm kind of taking them to task, but damn it, it's got to be done because silliness, general foolishness is on the rise. And for no good reason. None other than Vivica Fox, who is now the poster child for geriatric sex appeal. Can you even call it sex appeal? What I'm saying is, if you're a fella who's still saying that she's sexy as hell at 60, dude, fellas, here's the problem. The problem is in the modern era, most of these men ain't never got their money right. They've never gotten their money right. They've never gotten their status right. They spent their whole lives sleeping with hoes and the dregs of society. And so you've turned into older men and old men, and just everything is eligible to lay up with. You have no frame of reference and you don't have any standards because you can't afford to. As men, fellas, we got a level tonight. We say that they hit the wall and 60 is not the new 20, it's the new 60 is 60. Okay, here's the issue. The issue is so many dudes are so dog-ass desperate. They be dropping likes on just anything. And females, for them, attention is currency. This is a lack of integrity and discipline on the part of the men by encouraging this stuff. Now, there is a silver lining. The silver lining is ain't nobody taking her up on the offer. Nobody's taking her up on the offer. These fellas are just hanging out, but that's all they're doing. Vivica Fox says that she is taking applications for a partner. This is how crazy it has gotten. She says, I'm taking applications for a partner. Now, some of you might think that she's ripping me off for a side chick application. I'm pretty sure she probably is. But boy, I'm telling you, the plastic surgeons, she's gone back to them now, and they just say, look here, baby, we're just going to put in plastic fillers everywhere. It's just forehead, cheeks, chin, ears. No, just whatever. Head is looking like a water balloon. We've come a long way from Independence Day. We've come a long way. But then again, hell yeah, we've come a long way. She's going on 60. 60. How are you sexy as hell and you got a bad hip? What? Explain that to me. If she tried to twerk, she would throw her back out. Come on, you ladies, let me give you a hint. You know that you are too old for sex appeal when you start trying to twerk and people start laughing. They start giggling. When that's the response you get, that is it. It is time to officially exit the stage of sexiness. This is why you don't see 40-year-old women trying to twerk like that, because, everybody knows. I ain't beating up on nothing. I'm just calling it for what it is. Come on now. If she tried to twerk, she'd have to take a breather after 10 seconds. Hold on, baby. Should have did the treadmill day. All right. Come on now. I'm not beating up on anybody. What I'm saying here is this is a damn joke. This isn't... Okay, who thinks that a 60-year-old is fine as hell? An 80-year-old? That's the thing. Yeah, look, ladies, you can be fine as hell at 40 to a 60-year-old dude. To a square, to a fellow who ain't got a bunch of options. Yes, you can tackle him on his way to the retirement office. Okay, but dudes who are out here getting it and making it happen, that's not what they're checking for. And it's not about the physical. That's the whole thing. That civil rights generation and the broke down, that's what they do. Those of us who are still out here in the field and are still competitive and still getting it, still making a name, still making things happen, still ain't got people giggling when you sit up here and show them, okay, why is that a difference? It's because a man is not going to take $1 million of productivity and deposit it at the doorstep of $5,000 of feminine excellence. You can be many things at 60 years old. You can be intelligent. You can be resourceful. You can be presentable. You can be sophisticated. You cannot be competitively sexy. There's no such thing as a 60-year-old dime, except to an 80-year-old nigga. That's the part we need to level with here. So when she talking about looking fine as hell, she's talking about looking fine as hell to the fellas at the retirement home. She's going on 60. She's 59. She's about to be 6. That's where we at. Who are you? Who do you think you flaunting them 60-year-old butt cheeks to? What I'm saying is the fellas who are out there taking that, it's the August Alsina Alexander Edwards set. Kanye West didn't go for another Amber Rose. He went younger. He wants a chick who is still competitive. Her jersey is still in use. They haven't retired her damn jersey. That's the difference. But the problem is the majority of males cannot make those kind of calls and can't call them kind of shots. The majority of males, 80% of the male population is basically I don't even really want to say hunter-gatherer mode. 80% of the male population, certainly 75%, are scavengers. No, I'm not kidding. 75% of the male population today, they're sexual scavengers. They're sexual buzzards. They're just floating around and they're constantly famished. They've never had enough to eat. They don't know where their next meal gonna come from. So if there is a female available, they're either scared to talk to her because they're scared of rejection, or they all just pile up on the, hey baby, what you doing? Where you going? Hey ma, where you at? What's going on, baby? You don't want to be alone tonight, do you? Hey, what's your number? So they can't turn down nothing but they collar.
Damn!
That's the issue. Yes, I gave y'all a new, actually I've used that phrase before, that term before, sexual scavengers. They're just scavengers. I mean, they're looking for something, as Louis Grizzard said, can't kill nothing, can't find nothing dead. They're looking for something they can go pick the bones off of. And next thing you know, you sitting up here with damn me, Vivica Fox. So the 60-year-old woman will be sitting next to you. And you'll be sitting up there looking at the screen, for Independence Day. But what you will not be doing is looking at the woman next to you. Now, that's what you won't be doing. You won't be doing that. And that's sad. You know why? Because women don't do that with us. If you're not still performing, women don't pretend you're still performing. If you got it, you got it. If you don't, she gone. That's why so many of these so-called marriages to professional athletes fall apart as soon as the athletes retire. That's it. If they get retired, if they get injured, they can't produce, she gone. She got with you because you were a competitor. You were a gladiator. You were in the arena. And she was viable and in her prime, and that's what she wants. As far as she's concerned, all she got to do is make sure she still retains her reproductive organs and she's holding up her end of the bargain. You holding up your end of the bargain means you have to continue competing. And as soon as you fall off, that's it. She's gone. Chance the Rapper's wife. Bye. You fell off. Nigga, you're not competitive enough or productive enough to be having side chicks. Bye. And the majority of males today are sexual scavengers. So much so to the point that they have descended into the absolutely pathetic. They see pictures that they know are photoshopped. Take a look at this picture right here. I ain't dissing nobody. I'm just saying, can we be brutally honest for a few moments here? And Toni Braxton is one of my favorite singers. I think all of us can agree with that. That is a 60-year-old chick on your screen right now. That is 6 decades. Even though she's not officially 60 years old yet, that is 6 decades of wear and tear. That's it. As men, we do ourselves absolutely no favors pretending that these things have greater value than they actually do. That's the problem. Nobody gives us a mulligan as men. Nobody gives us an edge on points. Nobody grades us on a curve. You produce or that's it. You produce or you're done. And fellas today are just so dog-ass desperate that their only real interaction with a female is through a computer screen, so they don't care when we sit up here and say, by the way, these pictures, they're all ultra airbrushed and photoshopped. I mean, this in no way is representative of Toni Braxton, the person. If you saw Toni in person, this is in no way indicative of her skin texture, no way indicative of the smoothness of it, no way indicative of any of that. They done erased all the laugh lines and all the sagging. They've erased all of that. And I'd still hit. Okay, the scavengers. We end up with the scavengers. We end up with scavenger standards. Because unfortunately, since most of the males today are scavengers, the females have adjusted what their performance level is to meet the scavengers. The problem is scavengers don't produce. So the women get very upset very quickly. But the bottom line is, no offense, Toni, you ain't supposed to be whipping it out at going on 60 years old, baby. You supposed to be finding some nice dresses, some Ralph Lauren. That's what you're supposed to be doing. You ain't supposed to be sitting up here trying to compete with Glorilla and Ice Spice. You know, the young chicks who don't need plastic surgeons. Baby, you can't, you're damn near 3 times their age. You're almost 3 times their age. At what point do you hang it up and stop trying to compete on body parts? I'm going to try to compete on quality of body parts. Here, let me throw these 60-year-old breasts out there. As if you are in any way competitive with a 25-year-old. At what point do you meet reality? But then again, tonight's program is not about the females, fellas. You're not going to like this. Tonight's program is about the dudes. They're doing this because there's so many fellas out there. I mean, I think that picture's got 100,000 likes on it. That's the issue. When Halle Berry didn't get laughed out this damn window, what does that tell you? What does that tell you? So no wonder Toni Braxton can sit up here and tell you that she's looking forward to dating again.
Auntie, chill.
Do you see what the hell I'm talking about? Do you see what the hell I'm talking about? That's the issue. The men have such low standards as a group, and that's who she's trying to get the attention of. The problem is she's looking for a producer up in that group. It's like, yeah, she ready, but baby, if a man was looking to throw you like that, if there was a producer lined up for it, he'd be there. He'd be there. That's the point. You need to go find you an old retiree somewhere at the golf course, at the bingo club, at the church, at the Kiwanis Club, at the what was that, the American Legion. You need to go find you some old cat there. Yeah, I know, you just ready. You just ready. That's the ridiculous part. She's sitting up here and talking about she's ready to date again. Okay, these women are having to publicly advertise. Understand something. When you're Toni Braxton and you have to publicly... 30 years ago, Toni Braxton did not have to tell anybody anywhere that she was looking to date. Come on now. "30 years ago when she first came out, did you see articles like this about Toni Braxton 30 years ago? Did Toni Braxton have to advertise that she was looking for love? She's ready to date. I just want a partner 30 years ago? Come on, I was there. Toni Braxton didn't have to do this. Toni Braxton did not have to do this. 30 years ago was Vivica Fox taking boyfriend applications 30 years ago?
Damn! Nigga, please.
Come on, folks. 30 years ago, did she have to do that? Did Vivica Fox 30 years ago, when she was running around with 50 Cent, did she have to advertise that she was available? Oh, how the times have changed. Oh, how it's changed. Okay, but here is the problem. Toni Braxton and Vivica Fox don't want to date the average dude. That's the issue. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, their phone was ringing off the hook. 30 years ago, they were dating NBA athletes, multimillionaires, Hollywood stars, music moguls. That was their dating social circle 30 years ago. It wasn't a bunch of damn retirees. That's the difference. Vivica needs a guy who's stunning. To the average single mom, a bailout will work. But then again, they're not happy about that either. They're all looking for the same person. Vivica is looking for another bite at the apple with a 50 cent or something like that. That's what she's looking for. They're looking for that. That's why Toni Braxton is out here hoping that she can get some likes for throwing this 60-year-old chassis out there. She's like, hey, who's buying? But the problem is the men that she's trying to bait with this have options. The men she's trying to bait, they're not starting the bidding with a 57-year-old. Not unless he's 87. If he's 77 or 87, he'll start the bidding with you. But the type of guy she's hoping is going to bite, the type of guy she's hoping is going to go for the bait, he's not looking to start the bidding with a 57-year-old. That's the issue. And I'm going to explain why here in a moment. But if you all agree that with these 60-year-old women, they're hoping to get a 50-year-old magnate, a 50-year-old built man, but in reality, the only person looking for a 60-year-old is an 80-year-old, give me the hourglass emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. It's over 1,700 people in here live. And we're going to go ahead and see if we can get things cranked up. But if you agree with me, give me the hourglass emoji because time has run out for them. And hit the likes button for me. Also, one more thing. I'm glad and proud to announce to you all here that the super chat and monetization has been re-enabled. So it's taken some doing. We've had to go back and forth. I've had to employ some extra measures here. But just so you all would be aware, the super chat monetization is back on. So if you want to contribute through the super chat, you can go ahead and do that. So eventually I'm going to have the channel memberships. I'm hoping to have that done here in the next couple of days. So that'll be available there as well. But for those of you who've been asking, we can't contribute. They blocked it. I finally got them to re-enable it. It was going round and round, but finally got them to re-enable it. Folks, you have to understand something here. This is going to be a hard thing for some to swallow because you want to believe that the stuff you were doing at 25, you can do at 55 or 65. That you can just circle the airport forever, and when your knees start going bad and you start needing to take more trips to the doctor, which is the real issue, that all of a sudden you're going to be able to just pull the ripcord and the quality man that you want is going to be responding. That's what you're looking for. That's what you're hoping for. That's what they want. Look, Toni Braxton wasn't sitting up here running around with Birdman because she was bored. She was running around with Birdman because that was her only path to a Bugatti. Jason, what are you talking about? Y'all, for those of you who don't know, Toni Braxton, and I'm not dissing her, but Toni Braxton, no, Queen Jet Black for women, quality of life goes down after 40, baby. Listen. No. Not 60, 40. 40, ma'am. Having kids is out the question. Gravity has taken its toll. Them gray hairs are starting to sprout like corn. So, not 60. No, ma'am. No. No, here's the issue. Let me go ahead and say this right before I get back to them. As a woman, you're not looking to get from a woman what a man is. As men, we're looking for something different. When we look at a female, We're looking for something different than you are. So that's the reason you cannot exchange a 60-year-old female for a 40-year-old or a 40-year-old female for a 20-year-old. Because we looking at, as a woman, you just looking at her as a female. You're not thinking of her as a utility. You're not thinking about what you want to do with her. So as men, our perspective and vision of them is totally different from yours. Totally different. Y'all, Toni Braxton has been juggling debt now for decades. I'm not speaking out of turn. I'm not trying to diss her. I'm not trying to be condescending. I'm not trying to be insulting. I just want to get down to the mathematical facts. Toni Braxton has been juggling debt now for decades. Decades, not years. If I recall correctly, she's had to file bankruptcy like twice. She owes somebody, $100,000 for an AC system in one of her houses? Toni Braxton has been juggling debt now for decades and to try to keep up that image of being this built diva and everything. But that's why she had to bring her sisters in. That's why they had to go hawk a reality show. That's why she had to have a residency in Vegas. Them folks who have their residencies in Vegas, by the way, some of them make money, but others of them need money. Let's be clear about that. That residency in Vegas, yeah, some of them make money, but a lot of them need the money because they can't tour. Ain't that right, Jennifer Lopez?
Damn!
Had a friend of mine I was talking to who was telling me about Jennifer Lopez going on tour here a couple of months ago, and I said, oh, don't worry, that tour is not going to last very long. What do you know, y'all? Yeah, did I call that one or did I call that one? Not hurting nothing. I'm just saying, hey, this is not 2004 anymore. We way down the road. But for those of you who did not know, Toni Braxton has been juggling debt and bankruptcies and everything else now for decades. Vivica Fox, her too. She been juggling janky finances for decades. She told herself that, you can go, that interview she did with DJ Vlad, she said, because 50 Cent was an up-and-coming rapper and doing all these things, and I was Vivica Fox. As if those two things are equal. Vivica didn't understand that 50 was chasing dollars and Vivica was chasing attention. That's the difference. 50 was chasing dollars and Vivica is chasing attention. She was chasing attention and figuring, don't worry, I'm storing up value. And that has monetary value. She ignored the old adage, everyone gets 15 minutes of fame. It's like, baby, you can't cash in your 2002 value. That value is gone. Everybody's not Angela Bassett, but then again, Angela Bassett didn't do what you did. Angela Bassett wasn't getting older and trying to be some young sporty chick like you and Lisa Ray and Claudia Jordan and the rest of them on y'all's little Fox Soul program. Angela Bassett wasn't doing that. Angela Bassett showed up. She was the mama. She was the auntie. She's in Black Panther. She embraced that as she got older. These other chicks sitting up here trying to act like they're going to be leading ladies at 60. Ma'am, do you understand how many roles you can't get at 60? You can't be a 60-year-old woman doing an action movie. You can't be a 61-year-old lead doing sci-fi. It ain't happening. The physical stuff, you can't do it. You can't do it. And they don't need a whole bunch of y'all for them kind of roles. Angela Bassett is their preferred option. They don't need 20 black women. Right now it's two of them, Angela Bassett and Viola Davis. And by the way, both of them stay in the gym and this, that, and the other. Vivica, on the other hand, I'm not dissing, I'm just saying, by the way, she's missed the gym, but she ain't missed no meals. And what I'm saying is that, once again, that's a wrap. Yes, and Angela been married for decades now. Angela's been married for decades. So Angela cashed out her chips then. Vivica been playing the field, angling for a better deal. Now there's the difference. Vivica has been playing the field all this time, angling for a better deal. Trying to get a better deal. Trying to level up. That's what she's been trying to do this whole damn time. And I can understand why. Now, here's the part that we're not allowed to be honest about. This is the part we're not allowed to be honest about. Folks, don't you recognize when you're looking at somebody who wants attention? Halle Berry thrives on attention. Halle Berry needs attention. Halle Berry needs acknowledgement. Halle Berry feeds on it. Halle Berry doesn't want to be a normal, anonymous, unknown, average, mediocre, run-of-the-mill chick. She wants to be special. She wants to be a star. And she's not going to give it up. Not now, not ever. She's not going to give it up. You need to recognize when that's the kind of person you're dealing with. By the way, folks, not liking a nice program here. I can understand some tough pill to swallow for some, so I'll go ahead and wrap it up here in a little bit. And they haven't activated the super chat either, so that's fine. We'll go ahead and wrap this up in a minute. But I want to make a couple of points before I do. They love attention. Toni Braxton loves attention. That's why they're trying to compete with 25-year-olds. I explained this here on 60th the New 20 Part 1. That's where the attention is. That's where the action is. That's why they won't let it go. That's where the action is. That's where it's hot. Whether you like it or whether you don't. That field of females where Sexy Red, yeah, I know I said it. I didn't say you should be checking for her, but the Sexy Red, Ice Spice, Halle Bailey's, that's where the action is. That's where the heat is. That's where men are bringing up, Maseratis and Porsche 911s and Lamborghinis and trips to Monaco on his dime. That's who they bringing it to. There's no man in his 40s or 50s trying to figure out how to take Toni Braxton to Rio de Janeiro on his dime. There's no man in his 50s worth $20 million trying to figure out how he can get Toni Braxton to Monaco or Monte Carlo on his dime. Now that's what's not happening. That's the problem. See, the reason why she keeps talking about Birdman, like all these other chicks, Vivica Fox is talking about 50 Cent, Toni Braxton is talking about Birdman, Darlene Ortiz is talking about Ice-T. Do you see a pattern? Yeah, that was the best they could do. An average fella ain't gonna make it. And I don't just mean from average income. I also mean average status. These women want a man who has more status than they do so they can say, yeah, look, all you other chicks can hate. Look who I bagged. But Toni is not in competition for those men, which is why she's sitting up here trying to flex in her drawers as if she is competing. Baby, you're not competing. But I know why you want to be able to compete, because that's where the heat is. That's where the electricity is. Let me explain something here. Some of the ladies will not like this. Some of y'all will not. I just got to tell you the truth about it. When you're dealing with younger females, man, they have a look that the older ones don't have. They have a smile. They turn around and put that smile on you. A 50-something, 60-something-year-old woman, she ain't smiling like that. She's not doing it. She has nothing to smile about. That's the problem. Take a look at them when they try. It's just like, oh, Vivica's sitting up here grimacing at you. She looks like she wants to bite you. She doesn't look friendly. Nicole Young. Yeah, you married to Dr. Dre, and you don't look friendly at all. You look hostile as hell. You look like you're getting ready to go fire somebody. You look like a landlord who likes to evict people. That's what you look like. And understand, I'll be damned, you're going on 60 years old. She's got decades of baggage. Now I got to hurt some feelings here. I've been talking about this enough tonight. Let me go ahead and I know we went in hot tonight, and I'm not done yet. Folks, let me explain to you exactly how this works. Here. There's a big question that gets asked, and a lot of women do not like this. They do not like this, but that's just the reality of what it is. As men get older, especially in the modern era, the productive men, the only productive men, man, look here, when we get in our 40s and 50s, we ain't looking for a 40-something, 50-something year old. That's the reality. Men today in their 40s and 50s and older, they're not looking for a contemporary female. They're not looking for one of their peers. Ladies, let me explain to you why. And then I got to get back to the men to explain where, as men, too many are messing up. Number one, as men get older, we lose all tolerance for nonsense, for stress, because we know you know better after all these decades. We're not interested in getting on the merry-go-round. We're not interested in getting into a vicious cycle. As we get older, it's like, yeah, it's time to cut you off quick. See, when we were young, we could give you 5 or 6 years of drama. As we get older, baby, we can't give you 5 or 6 weeks. We can't give you 5 or 6 weeks. And the other thing is, we've had so much life experience that as soon as you demonstrate or give any indication that you're a problem, we've seen that 6 or 7 times before with 6 or 7 other different females, you're getting cut right then. So number one, it's not you, it's us. Our patience for the garbage that you were able to get away with for 7, 8, 10 years back when we were in our 20s, you feel shocked because you woke up and it's like, hey, they're in their 40s. Why isn't he tolerating my moods? Why isn't he tolerating these other women have attitude? Okay, the issue is we're looking for something better. As you getting older, you're supposed to have that in check. We're not looking to go in the same cycle with you. We're not looking to sit up here and go in the same pattern. You were able to do that back in your 20s when we were younger. But as we've gotten established, we've been through some things and seen some things too, and our tolerance threshold has evaporated. So we recognize warning signs. Here's the number one issue for old females. Old is over the age of 35. Too old is over the age of 40. Gonna come back here. The issue for you all is that you don't see how much you've changed. That's the problem. Women, for you all, it's like watching a clock or watching the sun set. You don't realize how late in the day it is. You don't realize how much you've changed. You don't realize how different you are. You don't see it. As men, we see it. We experience it. We acknowledge it. We recognize it. But as women, you all don't see how much you change. Baby, there's a whole big difference. You all don't understand the night and day difference between when you said the number 25 versus when you said the number 35. You don't understand that. Let me remind you again. A woman saying that she's 25 years old is like a man saying that he makes $200,000 a year. A woman saying that she's 35 years old is like a man saying that he makes $75,000 a year. And a woman saying that she's 40 years old is like a man saying he makes $40,000 a year. And it goes down from there. Now, that's the truth. As men, our value continues to increase because you bring in old age, but we bring in new money. Remember, what we're looking to get from you is not what you're looking to get from us. So, yeah, men get older, but we bring in new money. We bring in new money. Every time we get paid, that's new money coming in. Brand new. So you see, we making 25-year-old money, only it gets more valuable. So what makes us valuable is like the fountain of youth. It gets better as time goes on. The things that you liked about us get better as time goes on. We're not depreciating in value. If we were, then there would be no such thing as alimony. So before any female even tries it, by the way, baby, if you think that we both depreciate the same, then why is it there's such a thing as alimony? And why is it that women scream to the heavens as soon as we say, yeah, abolish alimony? So if we're both depreciating the same, just explain to the audience why there's such a thing as alimony and why you all insist on it. Let's be clear. If there were no such thing as alimony, women would not be getting married. You wouldn't have those numbers. They get married because what every female tells you, oh, I don't want to get married for money. And as soon as you ask her what she likes, if she likes being married first, or tell us what's so great about your marriage, the first thing she starts rattling off is finances. Oh, he does this, he buys this. The first thing she goes to is finances. So, oh, you was running a damn scam the whole time. Oh, it is about money. It's always been about money. You wouldn't be here if it weren't. Terrell, I hope we don't break up the relationship tonight, brother. I hope we don't break it up tonight. But I got to read from the black book. So, ladies, the next thing here is that as you all don't understand how much you change between the age of 25 and 35 and 45. And I'll be damned if you make it over the age of 40, you better not show that nigga any pictures of you when you were 25. Let me explain something to you. Ladies, there is nothing more insulting to a man than for him to take a look at you at 25 and you were devastating. There is nothing more insulting than for him to see that he missed the best years. I don't care what he's telling you, he feels some kind of way. If he missed the best years. So if you do manage to get in that position, don't show him nothing when you were 25. He's going to feel some kind of way, especially if he hears about your exes. He'll be like, I'll be damned when you was sitting up here, popping like a firecracker. You was with that nigga? Because he's going to start comparing who you were with at that point. You was racking up a body count, and then you sit up here and bring him the damn leftovers. So you better hope he doesn't see anything. If you're over 40, you better hope he doesn't see anything when you were 30 or 25. Because he will feel some kind. That's going to bother him. It's going to bother him. Let me go ahead and explain the next part here. Ladies, the next thing, you can't turn the clock back because the reason that men in their 40s and 50s do not check for women in their 40s and 50s or older is because by this point, you are set in your ways.
And deal with it, nigga.
The worst part, the absolute worst part about dealing with a female over the age of 30 is that she is set in her ways. This is why when they start popping out the bastard kids, you can't stop them. They start racking up the STDs, you can't stop them. They start chasing endless degrees like endless shrimp at Red Lobster, you can't stop them. They start messing up their finances. They getting into fights. They're sitting up here ruining their credit. They go from one job to another. They don't have anything of any significance that they own. And if they do own anything of any significance, she's grossly overpaid for it. Grossly overpaid. Ma'am, ain't nobody took you off the market. Knock it off. There's always some old lady. Men in their 50s always checking me. Ma'am, this is not about your sexual options. It never is. The desperate ones always jump up and then they checking for me. Nobody's checking for you, baby. Just they checking for sex. You'll get that till you're dead. Little old ladies are having sex in the nursing homes. In case you didn't know. Yeah, men will be looking for sex from you till the day they bury you. What they're not looking for is to make a commitment or anything like entangling. Now that's what they're not looking for. But yeah, some old ass dude, there'll be some old ass dude who's like, yeah, you'll do in the pinch. Yeah, you'll do. Come here, bring them cauliflower butt cheeks over here. Yeah, you'll do in the pinch. But do you want to compare what happens when if he has a choice between you and a 25-year-old? Damn! By the way, would you like to make a comparison? I don't think so. I don't think you want to make a head-to-head apples-to-apples comparison between you and the 25-year-old. I don't think you want to pull them invoices. I don't think you want to do that. Look, the old nigga that works down there at Walmart, that's okay. All right. The old deacon at the church, that's okay. That's where he fits in. The competitive dude, nah. I'm not putting nothing on you. I'm just saying, hey, this is what it is. This is what it is. We need to stop sitting up here with folks trying to make themselves feel better and try to soothe their busted, broken egos. Let's call it for what it is. This ain't about, is there a 50-year-old dude willing to sleep with you? Let's see the quality of that 50-year-old dude. Let's see the quality of him. There's a difference between a producer and just any old dude. And but I'm so glad you said that, ma'am, because this brings me to the next point. The next reason why men in their 40s and 50s are not checking for a chick in their 40s and 50s, number one, just like this right now, they're argumentative. That's set in their ways. But also, this goes back to what I was saying about old women and new money. The woman you have with you is representative of your value. So you see, if you're a competitive man and you've got a damn burden on you or you're carrying dead weight, that don't make no damn sense. If you're a man making $200,000 a year and you got a chick with 3 bastard kids and $100,000 in student loan debt, you're not a high value man. You're just a high income man. And really, you're not high income. But let's be very, very clear. You just drug his value down. You just made him a mediocre man. A fella making $250,000 a year with a single mom and carrying that mess around. Dude, you're not high value. I'm looking at your woman. That's not high value. I know you can't be high value. I'm looking at your woman. Oh, I said that. I know you're not high value. I'm looking at your woman. I ain't talking about your side chick. You jump off. I'm looking at your woman. I'm taking a look at her. Valuable men don't take females with baggage and get themselves entangled. They don't do that. They do like Leo DiCaprio or whatever. They don't sit up here and get entangled. So if I see you make that move, then you just told me that the value isn't there. Ladies, do y'all realize how many fellas I'm sorry, the women do know it. Their job is to gaslight the men. This is another issue right there. I have a bunch of men who call me and talk about as they're getting older, they don't know if the women are telling the truth or not. They don't know if the women they're with are telling the truth or not. And I'm like, dude, if she got kids and she came to you, she's not telling the truth. If you make a good income and she got kids, nigga, she here for a bailout. But there are a lot of weak, substandard dudes, and it's like, man, I need to get out of these streets. Okay, there he is. And that's him. That's him. Okay, but it's not like there's a wealth of those guys. It's not like there's a wealth of them. And furthermore, even those guys want something. And here's where you come to your next problem here. A woman in her 40s or her 50s has that 1,000 dude stare. There's another word starts with D, but she's got that 1,000 dude stare. Y'all have been in so many relationships. You've been so run through. Your body count is out of this damn world. You've had niggas throwing you across tables and grabbing your ankles and your hair and every damn thing else for 20, 30 years. A man in his 40s and 50s, what the hell he gonna do with this? Like, by the time he gets with you, you've been so run through that you're not a sexual being anymore. And even if you are, it's not like he's getting your best. You gave your best to them niggas who had flat abs. You gave your best to them. You gave your best to those fellas. Let's just be honest. A dude in your 40s and 50s, when a woman gets to her 40s and 50s, a man's not getting your best. You talking about you got more experiences, baby. That's like bringing a 69 Buick in the room. It's still a 69 Buick. But that's what it is. You've got a lot of mileage. But the problem is mileage doesn't make you more valuable as a woman. Wisdom does. Being acquiescent does. Being helpful does. Mileage doesn't. Mileage destroys value. You're much better off dating two dudes and learning everything you need to than dating 30 or 40 dudes and talking about, okay, I perfected it. Which is what you have today. And the women feel bad about it because it's like, okay, they see the fellas doing it when they get in their late 20s or 30s. No, that's not really what happens. What happens is that most of you are fooling with guys who are older than you. When you're in your 20s, you're dealing with guys who are older than you, but they're not going to keep you or commit to you. So by the time you actually stop playing around and screwing around and get serious, now you're looking for somebody around your age and stuff. It's like, okay, by the time you get there, the men are not preferring it anymore. They're not. And then what ends up happening is you start scrambling for survival sex. You start scrambling for survival sex. Let me tell you, UFO kamikaze, there is nothing worse than being that guy. Let me tell you right now, every male in here has had that experience. Either when you were young and less experienced or later in life. Hopefully you get wise soon enough to spot it sooner. Let me tell you, knowing that you were not her best, she's sitting up here treating you like some little kid that she's gaslighting all the time and telling you how great you're doing. But did you realize that the only time she acts like that is when you breaking bread, when you're delivering something? But that's not respect. So she needs a bailout, but that isn't respect. That's not respect. There's where you get into trouble because men require that. In the chat room, I'm going to have some folks here call in when they open the phone lines here in a minute. Assuming those act correctly. But ladies, as we get older here, especially if our value has drastically increased, if our value is drastically increased, we feel different. Just understand, we feel different about that. If our value has continued to increase, especially if we enter the top 5 or 2 or 1%, if our value continues to increase, don't you understand the demands go up with that? And on the average, when y'all know it's true, when you get in your 40s, you got your plan. You have your plan. You have your agenda. That's how you got into your damn 40s and 50s. You got your plan and your agenda, and you're not looking to give it up. You're not. You're looking for a man to foot the bill, but you're not looking to give up your agenda. You just want him to be simple. Okay, well, if I throw you some 4-decade-old, day-old milk sex, and what I'm saying is there's only a certain type of guy who's going to accept that. Yeah, but just understand that comes with sacrifices. It comes with sacrifices. Every time one of these chicks sits up here and tries to trot that fella out, it's not going to work. This is why Miss 60-year-old, baby, it ain't going to work. The only way it's going to work for you is if you go get you an 80-year-old. Okay, an 80-year-old. Let me just say it like this. Ladies, you can go older. You can't go too much older. You can go older, but you can't go obvious older. That's why 7 years was always the mark. When you start getting to 10, 15 years, that guy has to have a name that speaks for itself. If it don't, you start talking 15, 20 years older, okay. Folks are just, that's good. I mean, you just showed your cards. Hey, look, I ain't got nothing going for me. I don't have anything of any significance. I need a damn bailout. Somebody come save me. Okay. Tony Braxton, baby, look here, looking at 60 years old. We know what you're looking for. You're looking for some washed up old record executive somewhere to come bail you out. Okay, he'll be like 72 years old, 78 years old. That's not a good look. Not for you. The reason it's not a good look for you is because you're still trying to perform. You're still out here in the public spotlight. So that man's value would have to be tremendous to not be a drag on yours. Even if we were to give you a pass for going on 60, his value would have to be tremendous. It'd have to be tremendous. There's where we get into trouble. They're 60 years old, but they're telling themselves that there's a competitive 60-year-old male out there. Look, they're not trying to get with the damn retiree at the golf course. That nigga ain't competitive. Not even at golf. These women are not looking to get laughed at. They're not looking to get mocked. They want a fellow with a name. They want a fellow with some accomplishments that people recognize. They want a fellow with some status and some stature. Richard Lawson found this out the hard way. He found out the hard way. He waited around 40 damn years just to get divorced. He waited his turn for 4 damn decades. He waited his turn. Well, his turn finally came. And when it did, what happened? He waited 4 decades just to get... He would have been better off just dating her for a few months and leaving. He got publicly dumped. After 4 decades, what the hell was that for? What was that for? What did you gain from that? And the issue is that, dude, the value wasn't there. The status wasn't there. You weren't a good look. She was hoping that was going to come through. She told herself she could make it with an average dude because when women run out of options, they start talking about marriage. What? Marriage is a status symbol among average women. Did you get that? That's a status symbol among average women. Yeah, it's not a status symbol for the Vivica Foxes of the world. I mean, that's the whole thing right there. What I'm saying is it's not enough to just say you're married. It's not enough to just have a man. Folks are going to want to kick the tires, look under the hood. When you say his name, they're going to ask, do I know this person? It's not enough. Okay, let me try this a different way. As women get into their 40s and 50s and start looking behind them and realize that their list of accomplishments, their ability to take care of themselves ain't really tracking like it should, is really deficient, they start looking for an escape hatch. They start looking for a instant win. So they understand the way the system works here. So, okay, well, if you can get somebody to marry you and if he's not financially struggling, Well, maybe you can parlay that into a win, and if you can't, well, just lie about it and just lie and say you got something. Okay. Yeah, but boy, it's going to go bad when folks start looking for the numbers and you can't deliver them. See, you can't brag on things you can't prove. You cannot brag on things you can't prove. There's a reason why Gabrielle Union is staying with Dwayne Wade and destroying his children and emasculating Dwayne Wade. There's a reason why she's doing that. She's doing that because the value is still there, at least for her. Even if she doesn't even like the man. Even if she doesn't respect the man. In the chat room, did you say you 35 with a 58-year-old driving you nuts? Okay, I don't know how you thought that was going to work. The other thing is, let me just say one more thing. Vivica Fox, ma'am, this is embarrassing. Let me just say this. This is embarrassing. Claiming to be, quote, looking fine as hell. Fine as hell compared to what? Compared to what? That's the issue. We don't get to have an honest conversation. Compared to what? At 60 years old, what's getting better? Tell me, where's the upside? Where's the upside at 60? Where is it? If you have to tell people that you fine as hell, you're not fine as hell. She's talking about busy and blessed. Oh boy, she's scrambling for religion. One of the most acidic, abrasive, insulting people you could imagine, and she's scrambling for religion. Okay. Think about that for a few moments. 60 years old. Please tell me, what's the pitch there? What's the pitch? What exactly are you offering at that point? Because if you're offering it to the average man, well, I guess, I suppose, but other than that, no, right now she's giving you the celebrity version of survival sex. In the chat room, Marcella, is because they don't. I'm thinking next week I'm going to do the survival sex program that everybody's been waiting on. I think next week I'll do the survival sex program. I think I have enough stuff together now for it. I think I have enough together now to do the survival sex program. But ma'am, I need you all to understand something. There is a paradigm societal shift that has taken place right now. When I did my program, The Wealth Killer, going on 2 years now, I did my program, The Wealth Killer. I didn't do that program because I was bored. I did it because I wanted to clearly spell out to you exactly what the circumstances are so that you can accurately predict what will and will not happen. And there's a bunch of fellas out here who are going to get took because you think you got a chick who loves you, and in reality, you got a chick who needs a place to stay. And you done got caught in some survival sex. And you're telling yourself, well, any port in the storm and I'll tolerate it. And that's not the way you want to be living life, because you got a female who obviously does not really desire you. No, angelic, no, they don't just want a man. They want the total package. That's the point. That's why I keep explaining. They want the total package. Vivica Fox wants to be pushing a Rolls Royce, and she don't want to pay for it. Vivica Fox still wants a Birkin bag, and she don't want to pay for it. Vivica Fox wants to stand next to the 25-year-olds and have a man who gives her that kind of... Let me tell y'all something. These chicks are trying to find whatever the equivalent is of Jay-Z. Jay-Z standing next to Beyonce, it's still the year 2000. Like it or not. When Beyonce walk out there and Jay-Z walk out there next to her, real talk, it's still the year 2000. She's still at the top of her game. He's still at the top of his. She's an icon. He's still an icon. It is what it is. Those two are the top 1,000th to 1%. You ain't going to get that. But every woman wants that. And specifically a Vivica Fox, she looking for that. She wants that. So it's not enough to be a man. And to make things even more complicated, it's not enough to just not be financially struggling. You've got to have baller status, baller money, baller attitude. When you walk through the door, baller energy. You got to have all that. Because she's so old now that she can't even fake like she's got that type of desire for you. She can't even fake it. That's where we at. The biggest lie that females try to tell fellas is that they don't need passion and love comes later. But there's a bunch of you fellas gonna get your hearts and your asses and your wallets broken because I'm sitting up here watching. Y'all got females posting online talking about love comes later. Fellas, if a female is openly telling you or openly posting or openly saying this is your woman and she's openly telling people that love comes later, that's a damn lie. If your woman says those words, ask any divorce attorney. If your woman is saying those words, she came to get something. And she's going to try to lock you into something. And, I'll grow to like him. I'll be damned. Women don't grow to like us. If they get with us, it's because they like what they got, or she ain't got no better option. So she's like, I'll be damned. I'm tired of being out here in this cold. So as long as everything else is together, I'll just see if I can just fake it with you. Okay, and what happens when you realize she's faking it? Now your soul starts to deteriorate. That's the reason why most of us, we watch these fellas out here, they got married and stuff. They old men is aging them before it's aging along with their time, even worse than they already are. Because it's like, yeah, dude, she don't fool with you for real. She just there for what she can get. You got took. You got took, and that's the end of that. That's the end of that. She's sitting up here telling you love comes later. Bruh, you're a resource. And the problem is when you're just a walking wallet, that's not good. That's not good. They catch you when you're desperate. And as men get older, some of them going to be desperate. A lot of them going to wise up. But we don't see women in their 40s and 50s the way that we see females in their 20s. We're not willing to extend the same thing. That's why when you got this point right here, man, I mean, what the hell is this? And as men, when we get in our 40s and 50s, especially if your paper's straight, you don't want to be sitting up here wondering why this chick is here. Her finances messed up, attitude messed up, decades later, body count out this damn world. Now she's trying to tell you that she ready to settle down. Oh no, man, did you check the finances? Did you check to see, hey, by the way, does she want a man or does she need one? Does she want a man or does she need a bailout? And that's what the hell you're taking a look at. So that's what these women are doing. And Toni Braxton and Vivica Fox is like, y'all, I called all this. That's why I did my program weeks ago. They're still continuing to do it. You thought it was just the chick who worked down at Walgreens. No, sir. This is the norm. This is what it is. This is what it is, and this is what you can get. People, do you understand the median home price in America today? Do y'all get that? Do you understand the median home price in America today is $420,000. That's the median home price. That's the median home price. And when I go into survival sex, I'm going to go into survival sex so I can really get into this with you all. I want to go into survival sex and really get into this with you so that you recognize when you get to Vivica Fox or a Toni Braxton, it's like, okay, do you realize what she's going to be expecting? Now, I will tell you what's actually going to happen. What will happen is Vivica is eventually going to run out of options there, and she going to be like Hallie. I'm sorry, Vivica talking about exploring her options. Let me go ahead and touch on that real quick. Remember, she said you got to leave your options open. So Vivica Fox is telling all of us that she has waited until she is 60 years old. I know she's 59, but y'all get the point. Vivica Fox has waited until 60 years old to start becoming flexible about what she's willing to accept. And what I'm saying is when a woman starts making these kind of changes, not in her early years when she's got all of her options in men, but when she gets older and the phone done stop ringing and dudes have made it very clear they here for the layup, now she's telling you that she's willing to accept all these other things. Now she's willing to become flexible at 60. When she was running around with basketball players and rappers, she didn't worry about that. Now she's like, I'm 60 years old. You know what? I'm ready to leave my options open. At 60. Now I want you to think for a few moments here. I want the women to think here, and I want the fellas to pay some damn attention. Do you realize what an insult that is for a female to do that? Do you realize how insulting that is? That's an insult. That is a damn insult. That you've waited until the bastard kids run through, wreck down, sagging skin, reputation is drugged through the damn mud, niggas got you on in high definition naked, and you gotta sift through all this stuff here, and here she comes at 60. What do you think of the man you're with that you feel that that's acceptable to bring to him? But then again, I don't know, because a lot of these fellas out here, boy, y'all are worse than the hoes when it comes to being lonely. Did he just say hoes? I sure did.
And deal with it, nigga.
Y'all are worse than the hoes when it comes to that. That's the truth. I've seen so many fellas out here. This is really disturbing. I've seen so many fellas out here today. Man, y'all are desperate as hell. Y'all are sitting up here trying to kick up the damn, bark up the damn tree by getting married. And I'm just like, okay, fellas, what's in it for you? What is in it for you? Like, a man is at the peak of his value when he's got all of his options. A woman's at the peak of her value when she gets a man to give up his options. A man is at the peak of his value when he is single and desired. A woman is at the peak of her value when she's able to get married to a man of any sort of value or resources and status. That's the woman at the peak of her value. Men are at the top of our value single. Women are at the top of their value married. The value of the man a woman can marry peaks her value. The number of females that desire to marry a man, I want y'all are going to sit up here and write this down if you haven't. A woman's value is determined by the men who say yes to marriage. How many men she can tell yes to marriage. A man's value is determined by how many women he can say no to. A woman's value is determined by how many men she can get to say yes. And a man's value is determined by how many women he can say no to. So if a woman can get a man of tremendous value to say yes, she's peaked out. But we're at the top of our value when we're single and can say no. We have lots of options and we can say no. Now that's at the top of your value. You know you're at the top of your value when that's the situation. I'm not talking about you getting yeses from alley cats. Not talking about, well, she pretty on the inside. No. That's not the way that works. That is a woman at the peak of her value is when she can get a man of value to say yes. So I see so many fellas out here today, and I'm just saying the loneliness epidemic is all the way real because I see a bunch of fellas out here. Man, y'all talking about marriage worse than the females are. There's a lot of fellas out here talking about it worse than the females. That's not good. Fellas, understand something. So many men are not supposed to be soliciting for marriage. Men are not supposed to be soliciting for marriage. Let me explain to you right here. This has absolutely nothing to do with wanting to pass on your bloodline. This has absolutely nothing to do with you wanting a mate. This has absolutely nothing to do with that. What I'm telling you is that do you understand that when men are out here begging for women to be wife material, that is negotiating from a position of weakness. You cannot be a beggar and a builder. So as long as you guys are out here begging and pleading and trying to implore, just understand you're communicating a position of weakness. Even if you are correct in what you're saying, just understand that's like saying, man, I sure am broke and wish I could get a job. You're telling the truth, but you also look pitiful. What you're saying, you're declaring to the world that what we have is not of value. The women are supposed to be the ones asking and soliciting. Yes, because we've got that which is desired. We're the ones standing in front of bullets and we're the ones taking on burdens. The fellas are out here acting like the females. You're emulating the single women who raised you. You're acting like them, not like men. As men, we're not supposed to let them see you sweat. You're not supposed to let them see you sweat. You're not supposed to be sitting up here informing them about how raggedy things are. That's the problem. And don't recognize that that's what it is. So I see these fellas doing this. I'm just like, y'all are just lonely, man. Okay, here's the problem. Do you recognize that when you do that damn lonely talk, don't you know that most females, I said most of the men are scavengers. Well, guess what? Most of the females are scavengers too. You are going to get a tremendous amount of scavengers. That's what you're going to get. When you start acting all desperate, and especially when you're not negotiating. Let me tell you, a bunch of you fellas are just pathetic, pitiful negotiators. Man, you don't negotiate by throwing out your most valuable cards. You don't negotiate by advertising to a woman your damn ceiling. You negotiate by advertising the floor. You negotiate by showing you got something to offer, but you don't sit up here and throw all the damn, offer her the most valuable thing you got, the most irreplaceable thing you got, and that's what you lead with. Hey, I wish somebody wanted to get married here. Really need to take care of you for the rest of your life and upgrade your... Man, you're starting with the highest damn bid. Who do you think that's going to attract? You're trying to throw your net far and wide, and yes, you're going to attract everyone, but especially the damn vultures. You dudes out here are pathetic negotiators. That's just pitiful. That's failing negotiation 101. You're supposed to start a bidding process with the lowest, not with the highest. You're supposed to start them with the least valuable. At the very least, you don't walk out there with the most valuable thing you got. Let me go ahead and throw the most valuable thing out here. It's like, dude, why are you starting there? Because you can't stand the idea of rejection. You can't stand the idea that you're going to have to go off by yourself, and that's because you don't have options like that. Well, guess what? That also makes you vulnerable to a female who sees you ain't got options like that. So now she knows I don't really have to do that much. He's not used to a chick who throws it down. He's not used to a chick who can go triple X rated. He's not used to that. So I will do all of that to get his ass across the finish line, and maybe a year or two longer, and then turn that spigot off. He should have seen it the whole damn time, but he didn't. So no wonder you have so many females telling you that 60 is the new 20, because the majority of the male population out here has convinced them that they'll take it. Now, even though you're not who she wants, she's, as far as they're concerned, the majority of the men have telegraphed they'll take it. They'll take it. However, you might disagree. Therefore, the telephone lines are now open. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Your personal access code to the program that all your favorite YouTubers love to hate watch. This is The Biz. Also, we've gotten our monetization re-enabled here, so the super chat should be working. The super chat should be working unless I screwed up and did not turn on. I need to go check on that there too, by the way. All right, let me go ahead and also throw the link for Zoom up in the chat room there. We got the link for the Zoom up in the chat, so you all have that available to you there. You have that available to you there as well. Okay, I was afraid of that. I might need to check and make sure that I actually have that turned on, because when they do the monetization and stuff, sometimes it messes up with that. Because everything is supposed to be on. All right. Okay, there we go. Now it should be on. You all might need to refresh your pages. I went back to go check it because sometimes these things are not good about that. I went back to go check that. So now Super Chat's on. That should be on there now. If it is not, you might want to refresh your pages, but it's telling me now that it's on. I've also kicked up the link to Zoom there. In the meantime, the telephone lines are now open. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. You all let me know if the Super Chat's working there or not, because if it's not, I hope it doesn't take a bunch of time like it did before for it to propagate, but it's telling me that it's on now. Let me go ahead and get here to the phone lines. Let me get caller from area code 323. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, good evening, Big Brother Jason. This is Brother Elijah calling out of Brooklyn, New York.
All right, Brother Elijah. Brooklyn, what's on your mind?
Brother, this is an excellent broadcast, but I just have a question. What went wrong with a lot of these sad, poor, pathetic women? Why couldn't they just basically lock down their options when they were a lot younger? They have to go all the way to 60 years old and beyond. Some women are going beyond 60 and doing things, stunts like this, just to prove to the young people that they still got it. Why can't they just accept where they are and just continue to build and be great from there?
I mean, but brother, you say continue to build and be great from there. Build what? Women don't build.
Well, what I meant is, okay, what I meant by that, Toni Braxton, she was an amazing singer. I remember when I was a little boy, she was the talk a lot of black men used to say Tony this, Tony that. She still has great music. I'm saying keep building her great music career. Just worry about that. Why is she out here doing stupid stuff like this? That's what I meant.
But it's not. I mean, but it's not necessarily stupid though, brother. What I'm saying is that women don't believe men until the phone stops ringing.
Yes,
they
sir.
don't believe us. Women believe that everything we say is an idle threat until the phone stops ringing. Now, when the phone stops ringing, then they take us seriously. But they do not take us seriously until the phone stops ringing. When that happens, then there's this mad scramble. And that's where men get resentful, because then they realize, oh, they're just trying to get over on you. Well, dude, if you're vulnerable to that, yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. It doesn't do a man any favors not to be a woman's first choice. But in the case of Toni Braxton, brother, she's been floating around for 30 damn years. This is what happens when you get high on your own supply. This is what happens when you believe your own hype. Toni Braxton believed what you just said right there, dude. When you sit up here and talk about, yeah, we've been chasing her since we were little boys. We've been chasing her since we were teenagers. What you just heard was we've been checking for her since we were teenagers. What she heard was, oh, this thing ain't never gonna get old. That's what she heard. She heard that. Yeah, you said the words. Yeah, because she hears all the time. There's a whole bunch of y'all. Oh, y'all been checking me since teenagers. And what she heard is, oh, so there's a whole generation that wants me. That's what she heard when you said that. So, yeah, that urgency. You're saying, wait a minute, I didn't mean it like that. That's what she heard.
Wow. Well, and then when you're talking about Vivica A. Fox, to my understanding, not only the phone stopped ringing, but the roles she stopped playing, basically. No, Hollywood is not offering her roles like that. So where is she coming from? Is she still in nostalgia land because she was 50 Cent's girlfriend years ago? That's my question.
I mean, look, for those folks who've actually made a name for themselves in Hollywood, and as you know, I know quite a few of these people here, but I just got to be honest.
Yes, sir.
They never take off their game face. Never. They never stop talking about their agent. They never stop talking about, roles or prospective roles when it comes to black females. They never stop talking about that. Whenever they were biggest at and stuff, they never let that go. Ever. So they're always plugging that because that becomes their calling card. Because remember, you're only as big as your next role. You're only as big as your next project. And where they're at, they have to keep reminding people about why you remember them. So they keep trying to milk that and juice that and whatnot. Now, if you're steadily getting roles or whatnot, you don't have to do that. But for the majority of them, they have to, and especially when you become an aged actress. When you become aged, them roles start drying up. They start drying up quickly.
Sure.
And so what are you trading on? So now you have to become really furious about reminding people about things. Now, if the phone just ain't going to ring no matter what you do, now we need to go get us a fella who's going to bail us out. Now we got to get that. And that's where she is today. So in Vivica's case, she is still waiting for the Kill Bill sequel. She's still waiting for that. She's still waiting for Quentin Tarantino to bring her something else or something. That's what she's waiting on right now. So she's waiting on that. Look, that's why so many of these people in Hollywood are so eager to get, people hate sequels, but the actors and actresses in Hollywood, I mean, even Joaquin Phoenix is doing a sequel now. For Joker. He was always famous for never doing sequels. Now he is. Denzel Washington. Never thought you'd see him in a sequel to anything. There he is. Well, I mean, that's where the money is. That's where the money is. And if everything else dries up, watch folks start changing their standards real quick. They go where the money is. So this is where that is. And as long as they can get something for it, they'll be doing that. But in her case, like I say, there never was, a franchise for her to become a part of in that way.
Yes, sir. I got one last question because you spoke on Mr. Richard Lawson and Tina Knowles. you did a program almost 2 years, and I called into that one because I was just feeling a little sorry about Richard Lawson because he was an old gentleman and he had to go through a divorce at that time. But my question is, when you compare the two, where's Tina Knowles today? Basically, because she left her husband, who did she replace him with?
Herself.
I'm wondering who's the bigger fool.
She replaced her husband with herself because what men don't want to accept is that, look, you can deal with a female who is after power, wealth, and influence if you got power, wealth, and influence. You can deal with her.
Yes, sir.
But you're going to have to be a built fellow who understands the rules of the road. If you're with a chick who it is clear she loves attention, she's taking selfies, she wants her name out here, and she wants to stunt on other females, you got to deal with her the right way, which means deal with her from a distance. You cannot sit up here and think you can make that a wife. You can't. Unless you winning. Now, if you're winning across the board, she gonna stay because she needs a bailout. Marjorie Harvey is with Steve Harvey because he's the world's most eligible trick. And she knew he was going to answer the phone. And she knew that when he'd been waiting all this time, and if she made the offer, he was going to say yes, because females don't check for him like that. And he fell for nostalgia bait. Now he's stuck with it. Yes. Marjorie is going to mind her manners unless or until the money starts running out. If that occurs, then she's going to leave. Or if she stays with him long enough that she can get the money without being with him. Now that's the real danger for him. If she can get the money without being with him. Now, as long as he's the highest status male that she can get, and as long as he maintains that, she's probably going to stick around. But only because she doesn't have better options and because her daughter needs it. This is about making sure that another man's daughter does well. Another man's kids do well. But this is not about kids between him and her. So she found the world's most eligible trick. And fellas need to watch out when that's the situation. Richard Lawson got with a female telling himself that he had the same value to her today that he had 40 years ago. And she sees herself as Beyonce's mom, not as Matthew Knowles' wife. As far as she's concerned, her and Beyonce are peers. Now, what do you do when you're dating a female who thinks she's Beyonce Knowles' peer? She literally believes that. Dude, you got to tread careful. You got to tread careful. And that means you got to know how to handle that. Hey, the money got to stay straight. The status got to stay straight. The influence got to stay straight. All that's got to stay the same. And even then, I would never advise you to marry her. But Richard fell for nostalgia. He was doing good dating her. This is the problem we have today. Fellas don't recognize when they doing good just dating a chick. And if she wants to cut, let her cut. If she sits up here and tells you, look, the only way we can stay together is if you overpay. Well, baby, you good girlfriend status and stay relationship status. Wife status? No, not really. Well, I'm going to go somewhere else if you don't XYZ. It's like, fellas, when they're giving you ultimatums, whether it's directly stated or whether it's implied that you need to do XYZ or else, you better take that next part very carefully. I'll let you have the last word.
Hey, brother, excellent broadcast as usual. All right. I'm going to leave the room open. All right. $1 all day, big brother. Thank you.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. By the way, would y'all like to throw a few dollars on the super chat here so we can go ahead and get Elijah that smoke detector? What? We need to give him that 9-volt battery. Yeah, we gotta see if we can get. He ain't changed that battery out yet. I know he be doing so much globe trotting, but I'm just like, okay, that would just drive me nuts, Elijah. I know you're gonna be in town for like 2 days, but yeah, y'all throw a little something here to the 9-volt battery fund. Call from area code 415. You're on live with the business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, how you doing? It's Marcus from San Francisco.
Marcus from San Francisco. What's on your mind?
Hey, my pops is going through a very similar situation. He's all upset about it because, you know, I love my mom, love all them and everything. But she at 58. She's 58 and he's 60. At 58 years old, she decided that She wanted to play he was boring, and the life that he gave her wasn't good enough. And me myself, I'm 30, and I just see it's messed up because there's all these guys out here, these older gentlemen. And I think the oldest guy that I know that she's dating is like 70. And he's offering her everything. He's even taking her out camping this weekend. So that's where they're at right now. That's where my mom's at. He's at home. He just got off work. And I'm just like, man, how do you keep this from happening? And what's going to end up happening to her? Because I don't know. You're really good predicting stuff. So that's the reason why I called. What do you think? I'm confused.
Okay, well, first of all, let's do a post-mortem on this about your dad. Now, how long were your mom and your dad married? Because I know you're 30, but how long have they been married?
Oh, they were married probably when I was born. They've been married all my life.
Okay, he says probably.
At least 28 years, at least.
He says probably, so he's not sure. So that matters.
No. I just know when I was 5 years old in kindergarten, they were married. So I'm going to say they were probably, my mom used to go around saying they've been married all my life. So
Okay,
that's what I do know.
What I'm saying is you're not sure. Don't be defensive.
I've never seen the death certificate.
Just being factual here is that he's not sure. So that matters. Do you have any siblings?
Yeah.
How many?
My brother was born in 78. My brother was born in 78. He's 44. So.
Okay. Now, was that a child that him and your mom had together?
No. Because my dad, he monkey branched when he was doing good to my mom, and
monkey branch.
So I know they got together. Right
that doesn't work. That
he went from his.
Yeah, you're abusing those terms.
My brother's from a different mother. My brother's from a different mother.
Thank
basically.
you. Okay, so you're saying that your dad had a child with another woman and then got with your mom.
Yeah.
Okay. Does your mom? Did your mom?
Child into the
Okay. Did your mom have any children when she met your dad?
No.
Okay. Was your dad in the military?
He was. He left the military.
Was he in the military? Was he in the military when he met her?
Good question. I don't know.
Okay.
Good question.
All those.
I just know he was in the reserve.
Okay. Well, all those kind of things matter. And the reason why those things matter is because that goes to why your mother got with a single father in the first place. Now, this will be a difficult conversation, but you called to ask me. And these might be questions that you did not consider. A woman don't jump up at 58 years old deciding that she's bored. She was bored when she got there. She wasn't really digging this when she got there. Too many fellas don't recognize when they are a bailout. What does your mama do for a living for the last 30 years?
She worked for the city as an analyst. Whatever, I really don't know what that is, but she worked for the city government.
And what does your dad do for the last 30 years?
He was a contractor and he sold real estate. He sold houses and stuff.
Sounds like, unless he was a very bad real estate agent, sounds like he made more money than she did.
He did.
Okay. And what I'm saying is that's not accounting for character. That's not accounting for anything else. I'm not going to ask you this next question, but I think this probably plays a very big part in it. I'm wondering on a scale of 1 to 10 where your mom would register at when she was 28. And that will probably answer a lot of questions about how she ended up with your dad. And the real issue is that if she felt like he was the best she could do, and then later she had buyer's remorse. And she realized later, I could have got a fella with more swag. But then again, what's the point? Especially if she can stay with him for 30 years. Because here's the thing right there. If she was there for 30 years, is he paying alimony?
Is he paying her alimony?
I'm sorry. Well, are they divorcing right now? Has the divorce been finalized?
No, they're separated. Nothing's official, but basically she's dating other guys. And it just upsets me.
Right. Okay. We'll get to that. The real thing is, though, to suss that part out first, because there's some reconciling with yourself about understanding this you need to know. If she hasn't hit him up for it, she's probably going to. But the real thing is, as long as she doesn't get remarried, she can take the alimony and keep going. If she doesn't get remarried. Now, in some states, that varies. If she moves in with somebody or whatever, if they start paying bills, that could get them off. But in a lot of states, as long as she doesn't get remarried, depending on the terms of the divorce, as long as she doesn't get remarried, yeah, we can do that. So yeah, she may be the point right now. Is like, okay, this dude is 70 years old. That means he didn't grab a 58-year-old because he's looking to start a family. And he hasn't even waited for your mom to get officially divorced yet. So that tells me about what.
Yeah, you're right. Because when I asked her,
that tells me what his intentions
when I asked her
are.
about it, she says that these men know about. They know about him. They know she's married. They don't care. It's like they're still tricking.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying this: the fellas that she's talking to, yeah, they don't care about that. So what that does is that gives you some insight into, what she's after. I don't know. Did she say that he was boring? What did she say?
She just, I added the word boring. She just said she was unhappy. That was the way she was unhappy with the way, basically my dad, he works and he comes home and he doesn't want to do nothing. He doesn't want to go out. He's always been like that. He doesn't want to do anything. He just wants to pay the bills, and just live a quiet life. And I guess she wants to go out and she wants to do things and she wants to be included and go on vacation. He ain't trying to do all that. He only maybe go once or twice a year and he happy, if he even goes that much.
Yeah, she's looking for, she's like that chick Karen who was on my program years ago. She's like that. She's looking for a fella who at 58 years old, she's looking for a fella to make her toes curl and, to go on adventures and stuff. And at 58, it's not like she's in any physical shape to really be doing that. So she's trying to make up for what she feels like she missed. So you're dealing with an aging diva. She's trying to make up for what she feels like she missed. And there's no cure for that. If your mom has been sitting here the whole time and she was just with your dad because she felt like that was the best she could do, and now it's like, oh, I can check out and there will be no repercussions for it, then yeah, I mean, that's the thing right there. So at 58, once again, as I said, 58 years old, yeah, you can get a 72-year-old. You sure can. She's certainly eligible for a 72-year-old. Yeah, she certainly is. You know why? Now, here's the real thing is that where does she live?
Well, she moved out and moved in with the auntie, and so they're not officially divorced. That's what I'm saying. It's like,
okay, brother. Okay. All right, brother. Just this. She moved in with the auntie. Thank you.
Sorry.
She moved in with the auntie.
Sorry.
So what does that tell you? That tells you she ain't moved in with old boy or nobody else. So old dude is getting all the benefits and none of the liabilities. He has sexual access to her. Hate to put that thought in your head. He's got access to her when he wants it, and then he can send her home. So he goes on trips with her. Hey, where you going? So on and so forth. Now, I don't know. Does she still work?
Nah, she stopped working about 5 years ago. He's been taking care of her.
Your dad has?
Yeah.
Is she getting any type of pension or anything?
She has. Say that again?
Is she getting some type of retirement or pension or something?
She's waiting on her Social Security, but they denied her twice. So she's fighting it with the lawyer. So we're just waiting on that.
Okay, but I'm saying this. So
she
you're
has
saying
a medical issue.
She doesn't get any type of pension or something? Because I'm trying to figure. You say she's living with her sister. She's living with her sister. I'm just trying to figure out, okay, how's she paying her bills, or how's she paying for anything on her own?
Oh, you don't want to know. Her sister's one of those live off the government. Her rent is only like $300-400 a month, and so they easily cover that, and they get all kinds of.
It sounds like the apples usually don't fall far from the tree, so it sounds like your dad got a hold of a chick with some hood rat tendencies, and she's been waiting all this time to wild out and make it back to the streets. She hung in there for a couple of decades. What I'm saying is that men need to be watchful for that. When you're with a chick who was with you on some survival sex, maybe when she was working for the city, she wasn't sure about how solid her job was. And your dad was a lot more solid, or at least he seemed to be. Let me pitch camp here. Oh, this guy might be able to get away. Let me make sure I lock him down. Okay, we got married and a kid. Okay, bag secured, or at least this situation's secured, so I know it won't get any worse. And all this time, she's felt like she's kind of been shackled to him, but she never had the nobody really gave her the opportunity to do that. Now she's been waiting all this damn time. She's aged out and everything else. And she's found some, septuagenarian to sit up here and hang out with her. And there's a number of guys as they get older, they're lonely. Just these old dudes are hella lonely. And he was willing to sit up here and he's willing to sit up there and sit with your mom as long as it's not going to cost him anything. So she gets to be his little companion, and he wants to go somewhere and hang out and do stuff. And she's not working. So whenever he wants to meet up with her, he can. She is convenient and available. And she's been waiting to do that all this time.
But that's what I'm telling you. It was one or two guys, and I remember like back in March, she lost her key to her car, and her car, it's an expensive car. The key in the reprogramming of the thing was like $600, okay. And she asked my dad for it, and he said no, and the dude ended up paying. So it's like
okay, sir.
They have money. Go ahead.
Have I talked to you before? Because your voice sounds very familiar.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, guy. I think I told you before, brother. You say less. Okay, he's going on and on and on and on and on. Because you said everything you need to know there when you say this guy paid for a key fob. What I'm saying is, brother,
okay.
I know that might seem extremely significant to you, but that's because you're 30 and your money is tighter than that. This guy is 72. If he's getting a retirement or something, what I'm saying is he doesn't have to worry about keeping his job happy with him to continue getting paid. He's getting paid whether he wakes up today or doesn't. His perspective on $600 is markedly different from your perspective. So what I'm saying is his perspective on $600 at 72 years old is different from yours at 30. The other thing is, what does that really cost him? It's not like he's taking on some ongoing, obligation. That's what I meant. These are one-time things. Oh, pay for a key fob here, pay for some shoes over there, pay for a vacation. Well, he's going on the vacation too. It's not like he's paying for her to go without him. So these are all things that either benefit him or they're only marginally an expense. But it's not like he's paying her monthly bills. You said he bought her a car fob. You didn't say he bought her a car. Exactly. Let me know when a nigga is offering to get her out of your auntie's Section 8 house. Let me know when that one happens. Because that's what you're losing track of. You trying to keep up with all these folk here. You're making the same fallacy most females do. You're focusing on, are they expressing interest in your mom versus, okay, and by the way, what's going on here? He's not doing much of anything. He's just hanging out with her because he can afford to do so. And she is convenient and available. But then again, that's easy. That's not costing him anything. Make what your dad was doing, now that costs. Let me know when somebody shows up to do that. But so far, what you see is what you're seeing. Old boy is stupid as hell if he marries this woman. But then again, like I say, if he's getting the pension, he's probably not going to be eligible to lose it by marrying her. So it would just be stupid, though, it would just be stupid to legally obligate yourself to somebody at this point. But that's the worst. That would be the worst you'd be looking at in this case. Your mama's been waiting for a while to break camp. She finally just had an opportunity to do so. The heart was always there. Your dad probably took her because she made it easy when they met. He didn't demand much. He made it easy. I'm pretty sure your relatives, go talk to your aunts and your uncles on your dad's side of the family. I'm pretty sure that they were warning him. That might be a tough conversation
Okay.
for you to have, but you might want to talk to your uncles and your aunts and be like, yeah, by the way, when y'all met mom, what did y'all think of her? And be honest, don't lie. And then brace yourself for that answer. What did you think of mom's family when you met her? And I bet you're going to hear answers very similar to what you heard from me. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller from area code 305. You're on live with the business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, what's going on, Jason? This is James calling from San Antonio.
All right, James from San Antonio. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's going on? Hey, you had asked me to give you a call back. I spoke to you a couple of programs ago. I'm the fellow who is the 48-year-old with the 45-year-old wife who had the gastric bypass.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, so I'm that guy. Yeah, so
How
I had
this
to
go?
call back. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's with the woman there. She's trying to put on them Spanx to put all the skin back where it's supposed to be. So, all right, brother. Well, how did this go?
Oh, man. So much has happened since I last talked to you. It's insane. It's crazy. All right, I'm gonna try to condense it as much as possible. But basically, you told me that I need to give her an ultimatum, right? So I went ahead and did that, and I said, okay, all right. She started airing her grievances, and I said, okay, well, let's do this. Let's go to counseling. So we went ahead and we went to counseling. And I remember from listening to your programs, you would always say, if you want to hear the truth out of somebody, you got to set them down in front of a white person, right? So that's what I did. Got a white counselor.
And what did you learn?
So the counselor says that each of us need to be accountable. We need to be accountable for where we are right now in this relationship. Both of us got to take responsibility.
Okay, but brother, what I'm saying is, what did she reveal to the counselor there that she hadn't been saying to you all this time?
She said that, well, after being told that we both need to be accountable, she says she wants a divorce. I say, okay, all right, fine.
Okay,
it is what it is.
Slow down. Did she say why?
Because according to her, everything where we are right now, I'm at fault. So,
okay, brother, you're being vague, brother. You're being vague. Everything we were, I'm at fault. Okay, well, what did she say is the reason, sir?
Well, she claims that I'm verbally abusive. She doesn't like the way that I talk to her. Because, remember, I was taking your advice and you said I had to give her an ultimatum. So, basically, I said, well, look, is what we have, is it a contract or is it a covenant? Because there's a difference. We married, right? It is a covenant, is it not? Because if it's not a covenant to you, then what are we really doing? You just here to get paid. You just here because I'm the best you can do. So, needless to say, that didn't go over well. And so that turned into an instance of verbal abuse. Now, with her, in her past, she's had guys that she's been in literal fist fights with. And me, the absolute worst thing you could say about me is, I don't like the way you talk to me.
Yeah, but she's already expressed, like the previous caller here, these fellas here are dealing with women, their mothers, their wives, their girlfriends. Y'all are dealing with females with narcissistic tendencies. They want to be back in them streets. They're showing you every sign that that's what they want. Let me explain something to you. Fellas, a woman cannot, people, it's not just women, but we're talking about, you asked me, we're talking about male, females right now. And she can't want something that she has. You can't make somebody passionate and desirous of something they already have. because by definition, they've already got it. You cannot increase the value of being married to you more than it already is. This is why when a man marries a woman, you've already given her the max. You can't, there's nowhere to go from there. That's it. So if she really is there for you and she's just going to hold in this static position all this time, I guess you'll be okay. But if she wants more, there's going to be an issue. If there's going to be an issue and if you grab chicks who got tendencies in other directions and she's, quote, easy to deal with, but she's showing you that there's something more to it, being with you and having it is not going to stop her from wanting more. So when you guys start talking about what you do for them and I did this, that, and the other, and I've done so great, please, I need men to understand, I've been telling y'all forever, there is no invisible bank of character value that you're depositing in. Men think that way because as men, we have a system of honor. Women don't. Let me remind you all, if a man molests children and goes to a male prison, he's likely to die. There is a code among men. A female who can rape boys, you got female teachers who can rape boys and everything else, they don't get touched in female prisons. Females do not do each other that way. That standard about child abuse, that's a male prerogative. The women are not like that, ever. You know they're not like that because men are still paternal and are still defensive of children that aren't even theirs, even in a prison setting where you have no stake in whatever that man did to those children. But you're saying, we have a stake as men. Women don't have any such code of conduct with themselves. Now, see that chat room get quiet now. The fellas are saying yes. Notice the women ain't saying nothing. Women do not have that standard with each other. They never have. And they don't today. Men are the ones who have that standard. So when we talk about a code of conduct and honor, that's not something that women subscribe to. That word does not mean to them what it means to us. That's why they don't use those words, because it doesn't mean that, because those words come with obligations. And that's why you guys keep talking about that as if there's some intangible obligation. And as unpleasant as this will be to accept, that's not the way that works. Not with women, that's not. With men, it is, but that's also because as men, if you break your word to another man, something very serious is likely to happen to you. Women expect that will not happen to them. Now, sometimes they're wrong about that, but they expect that will not happen to them. So, as men, there is no intangible bank of value that you are making deposits in. That whenever she gets upset with you or whatever, she can go over there and go withdraw from that. Okay, you're not happy with me today? Well, all that stuff I did for you the last 3 years, go withdraw some value from that and keep you happy today. That's not the way that works. So that's why even invoking that doesn't do anything. So she's been sitting there for a while. The situation certainly got worse in the last couple of years, and sitting her down in front of his Dame Dash, call her the referee, she finally just had to admit what she's really saying. Now, you have a decision to make. Now, I don't ever tell people what to do in these situations, but you have a decision to make, because I don't really think she's that serious. I don't really think that she's willing to pull the trigger on it. But I do think that by even expressing that, that's taking it to a whole new level of disrespectful.
Yeah. And in my mind, I'm saying, okay, you know what? She's just bluffing. And here's the thing. In the last 4 years, she hasn't worked. She has a degree in IT. And she stopped working when I started doing well.
There you go.
And then And then so, since I'm, able to pay for everything now, she kind of just threw in the towel and was like, well, I don't need to work no more. Now we sit down in front of this counselor. The counselor asks the question that I'm sure everyone else is thinking, well, you ain't got no job and you got 2 kids. Why are you going to blow this whole thing up? And then she's like, well, I have a degree. So after the counseling was over, I was like, all right, cool. So I'm going to move out. I'm going to go back home. I'm going to move back to Florida. And by the way, I think you might need to go ahead and get on Indeed because I'm going to go ahead and resign from my job. Now, all of a sudden, she don't want to get divorced no more.
Did I call it, or did I call it?
And not just that, right? So now all of a sudden she has act right, and she's expressing her undying love for me, right?
No.
And I'm like, well, wait a minute, where was all this?
No, she doesn't have any act right. It's just that you tapped into your inner Jason Black. And all of a sudden, it's like, you know what? If folks want to make threats, please understand the first rule, Jason Black's first rule of hostage taking: point the gun at the hostage and not yourself. You talking about taking a hostage. Problem is, you ain't got nobody to take hostage. You're pointing the gun at somebody's head. You're pointing at your own head. So first rule is point the gun at the hostage and not yourself, stupid. She ain't got nobody to take hostage. So the real issue, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, when you're talking about pulling the trigger, yeah, you actually got to pull it. It's like, you know what? Yeah, let's go. I think that's a good idea. Why don't we go ahead and drop you off here? Now she wanted to see if that was going to make you scramble, and it's not. Here's my concern. I don't like the fact she even said that. I don't like that.
You read my mind, and like what's troubling me is I'm saying to myself, well, damn, that goes back to the question I initially asked. What do I have? Do I have a contract or do I have a covenant?
Dude, you got a roommate.
Romantic love.
You have neither. You have a roommate. I'm not going to tell you. Right? I don't tell people to get divorced. I don't tell them to break up their relationships. But what I will tell you is that the end of a relationship is when you start seeing signs of open contempt. When a person starts expressing contempt, that's a problem. And the issue for her, I'm not telling you what to do, but what I will tell you is that at this point right now, she's at best, she's going to be a disgruntled mate. And at worst, she'll be sitting in your damn house trying to audition your replacement. That's
real talk.
That's what I would foresee, although I think you're already on that. So I'm going to leave it up to you how you handle it from here. But basically, it went the way I was expecting it to be. So it's like when you said she wanted to get divorced, I'm like, I'm not believing that. But I do believe that she wants something for nothing. And the bottom line is she's like very many abusive females. She wants you to treat her better than she treats you. And there's no incentive for you to do that. I'll let you have the last word.
Right. Right. Well, thank you for speaking to me tonight and speaking to me a couple of weeks ago, because you've changed my total trajectory of how I see things now, and, big shout out to you, B1. And thank you very much, Jason.
Well, definitely check back in with us here, brother. We appreciate hearing from you. All right. Well, I want to thank everyone who has contributed to tonight's program. All right, the super chat is up and popping. So, family business. Thank you very much here. Chestnut Checkers, Black Voltron, Sir Shy. Good to see you over here as well. Project Leroy, Black to Death, everybody else over here. We appreciate that. We appreciate that here as always. So, we got super chat going back over here on the business. Like I said, y'all know me. I'm never one of these people who sits up here and panics. The program has rolled on like a freight train just fine without it. Never scared, never worried, never desperate, never, ooh, boy, I don't know if I can do without it. Never heard a word of complaint about it. Well, Jason, they can turn it off for you for 6 months or a year and it don't bother you. Yeah, ain't that amazing? But I do like hearing from the folks there. Let me get caller from area code 708. You're on live with the business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
It's Sean from Austin, Illinois.
All right, Sean is out there on the road again. What's on your mind?
I've always learned to take notes from the broadcast, and I learned so much from you. You're asking about Vivica Fox, how she says she's so fine at 60 compared to who? Well, I would like to compare Vivica Fox to somebody like a 60 Red, right? You said and I'm saying 60 Red because you said that's where the action is. So if you put Vivica Fox next to Sexy Red, all these degenerate tattoos you be talking about where they can't wear no evening gown and all that, it look like Vivica Fox can wear evening gown compared to Sexy Red. Then you got Tony Braxton.
Okay, well, slow down.
Okay.
Let's just stop there before you get running down the freeway. All right, let's go ahead and unpack that. You're trying to compare Sexy Red to Vivica Fox. The first mistake you're making is trying to imply that there is a difference. Simply because Sexy Red wears her trauma and her problems openly tattooed on her does not make it more egregious than Vivica Fox, because the bottom line is Vivica Fox is Sexy Red without the tattoos. What? Because you are not gauging Vivica Fox's attitude. Please show me what aspect of Vivica Fox's attitude, how she talks, the way she speaks about men. Tell me what about her is worse than Sexy Red. I mean, is better than Sexy Red.
Well, I haven't, most recently as today, I haven't seen Vivica Fox crotching her crotch trying to tell us what she's working with. I haven't seen Vivica Fox do that. I haven't seen Vivica Fox advocating STDs like gonorrhea. And
No. Vivica Fox doesn't do that. No. What Vivica Fox does is sit up here and talk about you weak ass men. What Vivica Fox does is pine for 50 Cent. What Vivica Fox does is the disgusting, absolutely reprehensible behavior of sitting up here and disrespecting Kevin Samuels when he died. Now, as you all know, I've always remind people here, everybody knows where my stance was on Kevin when he was alive, but I'll be damned. You heard my program when that man died, and what she did there, that was reprehensible. That wasn't just rude. That was a character defect. That wasn't just unladylike. That was uncivilized. So at that point right there, and I've never seen Sexy Red do nothing like that. By the way, I've never seen Sexy Red do nothing like that. What good is a woman going on 60 years old? She has no empathy. She has no compassion. A woman without empathy and compassion is useless. That's not a woman. That's not a woman. If you remove a woman's empathy and compassion, this is why we have such an unfeminine generation today for the last 2-3 generations of females, because without empathy and compassion, you're not a woman. That man dying should have automatically engendered that in her. That man ain't said nothing to her. He hasn't done anything to her. And even if he had, Kevin had some choice words for me when he was alive. But when that man died, you didn't see me do a damn victory lap. You didn't see me sit up here and any of that garbage. I didn't do any of that. I tried to be frank with people. But you take a look at the end of that program. I was adamant about, by the way, the man had earned some respect. As a human being, he has not done anything that is so egregious to get the response she did, except that he told the damn truth. She's a cast-off, throwaway, leftover broad, and niggas ain't checking for her. And she didn't like that somebody popular was saying that, and the world caught on to that. She didn't like reality of that. And look what it brought out of her. Somebody is dead? You don't know this man personally. Somebody is dead? Really? Really? And this is your response. So at that point right there, no matter what you think of Sexy Red, at best, she wishes she could be Sexy Red, and at worst, her and Sexy Red are peers.
Okay. Well, let me go to your pride and joy, Miss Renner, right? So if anybody's gonna lay up with her at this point after she didn't confess to all her shenanigans, basically, you're uncompetitive if you lay up with somebody that laid up with that many people. You already uncompetitive. I mean, you laying up behind 50,000 other people that you don't even know. So
Brittany Renner is, and obviously it is clear that Brittany Renner is bipolar and borderline personality disorder, if not full-blown personality disorder. Brittany Renner is surviving on a body alone, period. And if you are still nostalgic for what she was 10 years ago. Last but not least, Brittany Renner is a hoe. And she appeals to dudes who like hoes. Basketball players, gamblers, athletes, politicians. There's a number of men in society that like hoes. And Brittany Renner is a hoe and knows what to do. And she's been unapologetic about that. Okay, now here's what I want you to understand. Brittany Renner is also one more thing. Brutally honest. Damn! Unlike most females out here, Brittany ain't hiding what it is. Her cards are on the damn table. Unlike most females out here, you can say whatever you want to. You don't want to do what Brittany, what a man would want to do. But by the way, Brittany would get the nod because, by the way, yeah, Brittany is out here. She in these streets. She doing her thing, whether it's respectable or not. But by the way, she at least wears her colors openly. She's not pretending to be something she isn't. You know, like 90% of females try to hoodwink dudes. I just got off the phone with a fella. 2 dudes in a row. These women married these men lying the whole time. Lying. Brittany Renner is better. Females, she a hoe. Yeah, but unlike you, you're both hoes, but she's honest. Yeah, you both want, the truth of the matter is you both want the same damn thing, but she's just like, hey, I'm straight about it. This is what it's going to be. As a man, we can respect that. We know we're getting into. As a man, we can respect that. Why these fellas hang on with these hoes? Zion Williamson and them. Because even the damn porn chicks, she's straight up about what she wants. I want that Richard Mille watch. I want that Bentley. Okay, well, she's honest. The other females, oh, Zion, I love you. And, you know, you're just so intelligent and leadership. Man, okay, they're sitting here lying to you. So, yeah, you want to know about Brittany Renner. By the way, she's honest. Why would, as men, As men, why would we not respect her being honest?
Tia Mowry, Haley Berry, and Tony Braxton. Everybody can play the same card if they want to. Walk around in public looking like they off of Pornhub, because that's what all the other females do. If you notice, all the other young degenerates walk around with little skirts on, little church skirts and all.
Okay, but wearing
everybody can play that game.
Wearing G-strings and booty shorts isn't the only thing that makes a woman a degenerate. You're trying to split hairs. That's not the only thing that makes you a degenerate. There are plenty of females with no tattoos, no bastard kids, and they are complete scum-sucking, gutter-dwelling degenerates. Sodomites and Gamorites. Straight up. So you sitting up here trying to say, okay, I want a female who is just really extreme and ostentatious. That doesn't make them better than the ones whose presentation is more subdued. Okay, but you don't have to be wearing a bunch of tattoos to be a degenerate. There are plenty of females in Sexy Red's audience who show up to come see her with no tats at all. Does that make them better than her?
No. But I can understand. Where you're coming from, sir, and I appreciate the.
Well, I want you to understand something, Sean. It is more important to a man to have an honest female than a lie. We would rather have an honest hoe than a lying wife. We're expected to put our lives. We are expected to put our lives on the line for a female to defend her, to sacrifice our resources, to sacrifice our time. Yeah, we'd rather have an honest hoe than a lying wife. Now, you seem to have trouble wrapping your head around that.
Look, you know I'm in a discount being with all the other hoes and whores or whatever you want to call it.
I didn't tell you. I didn't say that. I didn't say that, but if you do.
Look, let me tell you, I can guarantee you though that Vivica and them, a 35-year-old quote unquote dreadhead, he going. Soon as he sees Vivica and all the other hoes, he going. Just like when a 35-year-old, 30-year-old see me, he going, and he definitely gonna drop a bag off. So it ain't just laying up with a girl. He gonna drop a bag off. He gonna go to work every day and still put in. He gonna put in what he did in that.
Sean. Are you driving down the freeway in that 18-wheeler right now?
What you want?
I'm asking that first. Are you driving the 18-wheeler right now? Okay, there you go. Okay, you gonna scare people off the freeway. I didn't ask you to do all that, but you're gonna scare some folks and some little old ladies on their way to Albuquerque. You about to scare the hell out of them out there. Second of all, Sean, what kind of car do you drive, baby?
I'm in a 16. I'm in a 2016. My car haven't aged out yet.
Okay, baby, you just sat here and talked about this. Some 35-year-old dude dropping off a damn bag, baby. You sitting up here driving, working right now in the middle of the damn night and driving a 2016 Kia Rio. Baby, what the hell? Who the hell you trying to fool about the bag?
It's paid for, but like I said, my car haven't aged out. I don't need a new car right now.
Baby, there ain't no niggas dropping off no bag. This is just like the fella there before. He bought my mama a key fob. I'm like, do y'all hear the things niggas put up with? Do y'all hear the things niggas say? Fellas dropping the bag. He bought my mama a key fob. Fellas dropping the bag. What you driving? The 2016 Kia Rio. I'll be damned.
These young women know. The young women don't know y'all still pinching every penny you could to wait on retirement. Y'all not throwing a bag like that either.
Okay, baby, but my point is, you acting like somebody was sitting up here. You acting like somebody was sitting up here paying dividends and dropping funds. I'm like, baby, you working as we speak. So don't sit up here and exaggerate it. Don't exaggerate that, baby. Don't do that.
Okay.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight, boy. I'm telling you, they try it too, don't they? They try. 35-year-old dude, they drop a bag. Baby, he needs to drop a bag at Valvoline to go get some oil change for you. Drop a bag at the upholstery shop to get them seats sewn back up again. See if you can get them seats sewn back up. Your car is almost old enough to go to high school. Call America code 704. You're on live with the business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yo, hey, long time listener, first time caller. I am calling from Charlotte.
Okay, what's your name, sir?
I am.
Okay, I am from Charlotte. Charlotte where?
North Carolina.
All right, I am from Charlotte, North Carolina. What's on your mind?
Yo, I just want to say, man, like the lady Sean just called, and these women are so delusional, man, and I didn't see the whole interview with Vivica Fox, but I did see the point where she was showing her desperation and of how desperate she is for a relationship. But what I did notice that these women don't never tell the truth and tell these chicks not to waste their youth, man. The only currency they truly have, because, you know, a woman's currency is founded within her youth and her beauty, and a man's currency is founded within his finance and his career. And they're not telling the truth about that, man. They're only giving examples of how to be delusional and deceptive. And that's what it is, man. It's like a 3-generation of deceptive women, man. And they just cookie cutting. And the woman trying to separate the two like it's different. These are the same women. You got 3 generations of the same women over and over. And none of them, they don't even tell their daughters not to waste their youth. So it's just a cycle of degeneracy. And if that's the case, then we know who we dealing with, man. You got very few women that you can, you know, hook up with, and they don't have that same mentality that they got till 60 to jump back in the game. You don't. When your youth is gone, man, you don't have any other option.
Well, I mean, look, here's the issue. The issue is that things are damn me flip-flopped. Today, the females are trying to sleep with as many folk as they can, and the men are basically sitting up here auditioning for the seminary. Look it up. The men are out here trying to audition for the priesthood. So the men want to have 1 or 2 women, because you've been told that you're a bad man otherwise, and the women are racking up body counts out of this damn world. And what happens is by the time the females are in their mid-20s, they've got a whole bunch of scar tissue and a whole bunch of experiences, and the males are walking around out here slap dumb and happy and naive as hell. And if you would, that's what I'm telling fellas, you can't think about getting married till your late 30s or 40s and until you make more than 6 figures, because you need more life experiences with women, and you need to have something to lose.
Exactly.
These fellas out here getting women when they don't have enough life experiences, they have nothing to lose, and then they get took when they do finally get something to lose. Meanwhile, the women have a whole bunch of experiences, and now she's got knowledge you don't, and you're naive, so you're saying, well, she wouldn't do X, Y, Z. Now she's going to weaponize that. She's weaponizing her knowledge, and she's taking advantage of your naivete. A man cannot afford to be naive. So things have flip-flopped in that regard. The women are savvy and getting a bunch of experiences with a bunch of people, and the men are naive as hell and restricting who they have experiences with. And unfortunately, in many of their cases, they're not even learning from the experiences they have. They're not even doing that.
But they teaching it, though. They teaching it, and I had a conversation about imagery with somebody, and I was saying that image and having somebody as an example is like 75% of the battle. And people like Vivica and Tony Braxton and what's that, the twin sister chick, they have taught all these generations of how to be degenerates. And like I said, I don't know how you feel about that, but I think just watching these people is like 75% of the battle, and this is what we're getting, and this is why it's just a continuation of these same women, because they all just watching and nobody's teaching them a better way of how to use their beauty as a true currency to capitalize and land a good man. And the same thing with men. We don't have a lot of leaders, you, Tariq, and other people like that. We have y'all, but a lot of people ain't picking up what y'all putting down. So you got a bunch of dusty niggas out here that ain't, that wasn't raised with their father, so they don't have good examples.
Well, I mean,
so
what it is that females,
why,
the way they think, and it's very simplistic, but the way they strategize is, okay, first, step one, be able to get men's attention. Step two, then if you can attract men's attention, now you can start tweaking it and start adjusting the quality of the male that you attract. So it doesn't matter how many men you sleep with and stuff, because you're in the process of always analyzing it, enjoy yourself. And if you do learn one thing, learn how to adjust it. So in that case, your sexual history is not a negative if that's the way you're doing it, because, we're taking a learning trip, which is why you hear women talk about it being a journey. For men, of course, it's a very big turnoff in that regard. So that's the reason why experience is a very, very important thing. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller from area code 321. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Jason, this is Antoine from Orlando.
Okay, Antoine sounds like he's at the car wash.
No, I'm just outside.
Okay, Antoine, what's on your mind?
I was calling because I'm kind of mad at you. You gave out a big secret about don't show the man that you look like 20 years ago. Because I sure do be mad when I see that picture.
Oh, yeah. If you deal with a chick who's in her 40s or 50s and it's just like, oh, boy. I don't care how, quote, good you think she looks today. I promise you she was 2 or 3 times better 20 years ago. So it's just like, you want to break your own heart, do that one. You're going to see all kinds of body parts sitting up in ways it ain't doing for you right now, because you know all this cope and all this rationalizing. And so, and the first thing you're going to think of is, I'll be damned, that bum nigga you was been complaining to me about, this what he got. I'm getting the discount bootleg version, but he got prime you. All right.
I was telling my boy, he married this girl, single mom, and like he could have had her as a side chick. I told her, she's going to stay as a side chick. Like, that's the best position. He didn't want to listen. Like, he had another girl that was messing with him. They both were attractive, but he want in-house, what. That's what he wanted.
Yeah, I mean, most males are desperate, and they just want reliable sexual access. And females have figured out that you have a bunch of weak males and that they'll let you take advantage of them. Here's the problem. A female cannot respect a man who she can get over on. Because biologically, she understands, if I was able to fool you, then she assumes everybody else can too.
Exactly. And she does control him that way, because, she does give it up all the time. That's how she keeps him in line. And, I was trying to tell him that. I mean, I guess him being friends with me is the only reason why they somehow stick around, because I'm like, you're going to have to leave. Now he's seeing all the stuff I was telling him. Now he keeps bringing up in the argument, about her baby daddy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he starts responding like her. Stories. Whatever she said, that's what he's going to repeat without any scrutiny or whatever. So that tells you he's just after some sex. And men who are that easily controlled and that desperate for sexual access, the only thing they can do is be a trick and get used, and we all know how this ends. I'll let you have the last word.
A great broadcast as always. One thing I liked about your broadcast is because some of the stuff I already figured out on my own, and just watching you just is like confirmation. Like, okay, I'm going the right way. So keep up the good work.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight here. I mean, fellas, you can do that kind of stuff there. If you're that weak and sex bends you and you start changing for sex, you think women don't see that? You think a woman doesn't see that, by the way, as soon as she gives you some sex, all of a sudden everything's all right? Everything's okay? You think she didn't pick up on that? You think she doesn't see that? That's the biggest lie that men tell themselves, that women don't see our sexual reactions. If she sees you sprung for it like that and it's just like, oh, he can't get... All right. Caller from America 617, you're on live with The Business.
That's
What's
the
your name? Where you calling from?
Tell themselves that women don't see our sexual reaction. If she
Okay, caller from 617 has been abducted. Caller from area code 757, you're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Jason, what's up? This is Vision calling from Newport News, Virginia.
All right, Vision from Newport News. What's on your mind?
Well, first of all, I just wanted to thank you for all the game you've dropped over the years. I've been watching your broadcast for a couple of years now, and just as somebody who didn't get a lot of that coming up, that's been life-changing for me. I appreciate that. My question is the pendulum going to swing back? Are we going to get to a place where the older women know their place and the younger women change their priorities a bit?
No, because that premise is fundamentally flawed. Please understand that as men, we're in this situation because the civil rights generation was a bunch of cucked out suckers who sat up here and sold their souls. They were so desperate for sex, integration, drugs, you name it. So they left their souls at the door. You're not going to have that option. You don't have the world that they had. You know, they didn't have to worry about STDs that killed you. They didn't worry about 5 and 6 bastard kids. They were the ones who started that. They didn't have so many of the things that we have to deal with. Child support wasn't a felony. Not paying your child support wasn't a damn felony. You didn't get your driver's license taken when they were running around out here. You didn't get your passport taken. You didn't lose your business licenses. You didn't end up in court. Everybody talking about that Zoom caller who's with the judge in Detroit. He driving on a suspended license, but he was on a suspended license because of child support. So that wasn't happening in the 70s and 80s. By the time we get to our generation in the 90s coming of age, bam, brand new world. So what I'm saying is those guys were willing to do a lot more to get a lot less. You're not going to fix this by hoping and wishing that the women find religion or that they find spontaneous conversion. It's not going to work. It's not the way it happens. We are going to have to become a different breed of men. So we're going to have to become more resourceful, more savvy, more decisive. But you can't be decisive when you're broke. You can't be decisive when you're unintelligent. You can't be decisive when you're illiterate. You can't be decisive when you're unresourceful. You can't be decisive when you're unwise. You can't be decisive when you're inexperienced. So men today have been raised to be mama's boys, and then they're talking about going to war. Mama's boys don't win wars. So
the men of today,
if you want to change this, you're going to have to lead. As men, our generation, we're going to have to start changing the way we deal with things and start from a position of leading. And what that means is that... So it
sounds like to me...
Well, slow down. I'm explaining. What that means is that the fallacy in what you said there before is, what do we do to get these old women to do differently? And what I'm saying is, no. That's not leadership, sir. Jason, what do we do with old women? We tell them, well, if nobody made you a grandma, you're cut off. There is no competition for you. The reason why I've been harping on this and beating on this now for years and years and years and years is because it is freaking ridiculous for dudes to be talking about Halle Berry. At what as if she's still competitive. That's a sign of how uncompetitive and desperate the men are. That you can see a Halle Berry 30 years later and you talking like it's still some hot property. What I'm saying is that as men, we've done ourselves a tremendous disservice by stretching out the longevity. The sexual longevity of these females. We've done ourselves a grievous injury. Because in the process, the only way you can stretch out a woman's longevity is by abandoning standards. You ain't supposed to have no damn grandmas out here, a 55-year-old on the same damn Instagram with a 25-year-old. Them two ain't supposed to be together. And yet there they are. Because so many desperate-ass males, they'll just take anything they can get, and I do mean anything. So Halle Berry be like, well, hell, I'm not sitting, babe. I can slide up in here. And there she is. Whereas as men, if we really had standards and across the board and really had a code across the board, she would not be here. You're not going to get $1 million. It's stupid to spend $1 million on Halle Berry. Betty is true. Halle, it would be stupid for a man to spend it on you because he's not going to get $1 million of value. He is going to deposit $1 million of resources at your feet, but he will not get back $1 million of feminine value. You can't have kids. You're way over your prime. You just hit menopause. I know because you were in front of Congress. Tell me, where's $1 million? Hell, where's $100,000 worth? She is an average chick today. And what I'm saying is that as men, the problem with desperation is that at that point, what you're saying is that women don't have an expiration date. There is no expiration date. None. That they're evergreen.
And nature tells us
and
otherwise.
That's a damn lie. They're not evergreen except to the most desperate. Them niggas will sleep with anything from 22 to 102. They don't have standards. What I'm saying is men, we need to change the culture. And the culture starts with these are the women we disqualify. And the problem is so many fellas are scared that they gonna miss out. Because they don't have selectivity. They don't have any options. They certainly don't have variety. So they can't afford to say no. That's how you can have a damn near 60-year-old Halle Berry sitting out here flapping them floppy things on a balcony and letting the cellulite roll. And dude sitting up here liking the picture because he can't afford to say no. That's how you can get Vivica Fox making a damn fool of herself, talking about 60 years old and fine as hell with her face looking like a damn soccer ball. Because the fellas liking it, they can't afford to say no. He got to take anything from 26 to 96. He can't afford to say no. He's 30 years old and can't turn down anything. He's in a constant drought. He's constantly famished. He's constantly starving. So that is the male culture that must change. This, where you have no options and nothing else, and you certainly don't have selectivity to choose from the cream of the crop. That's what's got to change. Men saying no while simultaneously increasing their value, because there are two things that will not change. Number one, men always going to like fine women, young fine women, Vivica. And women are always going to want to live a soft life without working to get it. Now, those are two things in human nature that will not change about women and men. Period. Instead of us fighting it, we need to use it to our advantage. Recognize this is the reality. This is what it is. And with the older women, we're supposed to be like, once y'all get to a certain point, you're not supposed to be in contention anymore. You see, if that happened, then you would see attitudes changing radically much sooner. You see, men talk about chicks hitting the wall, and then here you got some sloppy ass nigga out here, 72 years old, some other deadbeat retiree sitting up here grabbing some, well, I guess she's going to be a single mom now. And he's just kicking it along. And what I'm saying is that's
so how do we enforce that?
Brother, what we're talking about right now.
How do we enforce that?
That's the issue right there. That's my point.
Yeah, like how do we keep,
sir, I'm telling you, sir, I just answered you, dude. Are you paying attention? Hell no. What we're doing right now,
how do
sir.
We hold other men accountable.
What we're doing right now, sir.
Okay.
These are conversations that don't occur. These are conversations that don't happen.
Got you. Have the conversation.
Understood.
This is not sir, you can't walk into nobody's house and smack the nigga up and make him do XYZ. You're fighting for hearts and minds. First of all, you have to start with your own example and show that that's what works. So the real thing is how we correct other men is by outperforming them. But it can't be theoretical. It has to be real. I'm going to say something right now. It's going to be ultra, super magnanimously controversial, but it will be true. Fellas, I'm just going to tell you right now, money is how we keep score, but it's really how you get people to pay attention. Every fella in here, I'm just going to tell you right now, when it becomes the norm for us, no matter whether you are in Miami or in Muskegon, that you're driving a Bentley, driving a Maybach, as men, we're going to have to outperform. If everybody's driving $100,000 cars, no matter where they are, that makes, and you're not drowning in debt, you're not stupid. That's what makes a mark. That makes an impression, and that lets folks know this is the standard. Because the females are going to consolidate on that fella. That sends a very clear message to the others that you will have no chance whatsoever if you don't change up what you're doing. None whatsoever. Now, that's how you start the conversation, and then you end it with, by the way, and we're not stupid-ass super simps over here either. We use this. So, yeah, you get attention from females from the age of 20 to the age of 80. Yeah, but you tell them, I laugh and shake hands with the 60-year-old. She's not eligible, though. She's eligible for a handshake. That's what she's eligible for. She's eligible for a photo op. She's not eligible for anything else. And that's for us as men. This is a conversation for us to have amongst ourselves. That's why it's a mistake when we start talking about the females. This is a conversation that men need to have amongst themselves. Men checking other men. That's what happens in prison. Right. That's what happens in gangs. Men checking other men. So that's where it begins. All I've done, I have an internet program where we talk about this publicly, but your job is to take this in those other arenas. If other men are not listening to you, it's probably because they looked at you and they don't want to be like you. I'm not saying that necessarily. I'm saying that. Fellas, if y'all want to know why you don't have influence with other men, if they look at your life and look how you rolling and look at the responses you're getting and say, yeah, I don't want to be like that guy. Yeah, I see you. You're a nice fella, but I don't want to be like you. And that's where I see most of them failing.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller area code 443. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Mo. I'm calling from West Baltimore, Jason.
All right, Mo from West Baltimore. What's on your mind?
Man, Jason, listen, man, I don't even want to take up too much of your time, man, but I had to call you and thank you personally, man. Like, the best way I can describe you, bro, and this is the highest praise that I can give anybody, you are an intellectual genius, man. Like, and I know what an intellectual genius is, like Malcolm, Dr. Francis Cress Wilson, you know what I mean? Like Prince and Stevie in music, you know, like a genius is the highest, you know, praise that you can give somebody, and you that, man, because I listen to your broadcast and it make me realize how much stuff I was taught wrong in my life, man. And also it makes me realize how much stuff I wasn't taught at all. And it's like, you out here, man, like deprogramming niggas and reprogramming us. And it's like, man, I tell you, man, like, salute, bro. Like, you're a Black American treasure, man. And you don't even know how bad dudes need you, man, and need, you know, the Black Channel, the business, TVA, all that stuff you got going on, man. I study your stuff now like it's a class, and I don't go to school or nothing, but yeah, like your past broadcast, that's like my school, man, because it's so much junk I got to get out of me that I picked up, you know, in these, for real, in the streets of Baltimore and in life. But anyway, man, I don't want to keep going on and on. You get my point, man. But
well, my biggest thing is don't just listen, use it, because that's the real thing for the previous caller.
Absolutely.
The issue that we have is that, you know, I don't want things to become like church where y'all show up every week or whatever and do some hooping and hollering and then go home and go right back to what you were doing and leave the status quo. Your job is to get here to be debriefed. It's good to commune with folk, yeah, but your job is to get here, get debriefed, and so that you're encouraged and you go back out there and you make changes. So don't just listen to it. You got to live that. I'll let you have the last word.
No, that absolutely. All right. The last word is absolutely, brother. Jason Black, Mr. Black. You know what I mean. You have inspired me, man, to make massive changes and to get busy, man. Life is short, man. You know what I mean. Life is finite, man. It's not a thing forever. And we as black men don't have any time to waste. We got to get busy. We got to level up. We got to make ourselves of a certain economic status so we can, force what we need to be done and how we need it to be done. Money talk, bullshit walk, and man, you're just a brilliant man. Like I said, you are an intellectual genius. Peace to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. And what I'm saying is that it's not about money for having the sake of money. What I'm saying is that as a man, young men don't listen to old, unaccomplished men. What? You ain't got to like that. Let me explain to you right there. It is what it is. The reason why the hustlers have always gotten respect from the young people is because they showing results. You always got some old nigga who wants to sit up here and get young folk to give them respect, give them an ear, and he ain't brought no proof that he knows what the hell he talking about. The hustlers and the players and the ballers, they understand, hey, man, don't talk with words. You talk with action. You want these young cats to listen to you? You show your results. You show your achievements. You lead with your accomplishments. That does all the talking for you. That speaks for itself. We got a bunch of dudes out here who want to talk to other dudes and don't want to bring any proof that they know what the hell they talking about. And all that is running game. That's the issue. It keeps running. You just keep running game. That's how these young cats gonna take that, man. You don't know what you're talking about. You're running game. And young fellas and even older fellas, we ain't looking for some nigga to sit up here and run game on this, man. We're not looking for that. He said that life is short. Let me explain to you what the real issue is with that right there. He is correct. Life is short. And the reason why that is important is because life is too short for you to go through it, to live from the cradle to the grave without ever discovering how great you really could be. Life is too short without figuring out and finding out and exploring and experiencing what is the ultimate version of you. Life is too short for that. Life is too short for you not to show something extraordinary. Life is too short for you not to find that out. That is what your women and your children and your community, other men around you, that's what they're looking to see. When I talk about a man who is admired, it is not the reason why the average guy, average, if everybody can achieve it, then there's nothing to admire about it. The excellent is always admired. That which is difficult to attain and hard to achieve is always admired. That will always be the most in demand. Always. Always. Being able to do those things is very important. Very important. It makes you resourceful. Let me explain something to you all right there. Somebody said that talent is rare. Well, I suppose, statistically speaking, true talent is rare. Having more than one talent is even more rare, as they said in Akira. Here's the issue with that. Talent is simply skill. You can cultivate skill if you choose to do so. People honor and admire talent. Talent is something that can be achieved. Once you have achieved it, you will be admired for it. People can see when you put in the work to develop a talent. They can also see when you're a person who doesn't do that. And just understand that simple calculus to make when a woman, when children, when other men, when other people see that you're not doing as much as you could. I put up a post on Facebook earlier this week talking about that one of the biggest, most seductive wastes of time is when you think that you see more in somebody else than they see in themselves. You see potential and you see, oh, you could do a whole lot more. So many women have sat with niggas who never went anywhere in life. His whole damn life, he never went anywhere. What you see in front of you, that's all he'll ever be. That's why as a young man, I hung out with dudes who were older than me, but they were guys who were working. I never hung out with retirees. I never hung out with folks who were sitting at home. Never sit there kicking on the porch with people. No, I don't need that kind of wisdom. I want something that's practical. I don't want to hear your talk. I want to be able to use this and execute this in the real world, to put this into physical practice. That has always been important to me. Always. And that's why I've always warned the young people against listening to old niggas. Because the old niggas will sit up here and talk you to death. And meanwhile, if you haven't done the calculus to figure out, by the way, what have they actually done? Then they'll sit up here and try to intimidate you and tell you that you don't have a right to ask what they've done, to see what they've done. On what authority are you speaking from that? And that's why I'm like, no, those are conversations that need to be had. If you're going to be somebody who's going to talk to other people, you got to have credentials to stand on. My problem is too many men are talking about the problem and they're not gaining the damn credentials to stand on. Let me explain to you here. This isn't about Toni Braxton and Vivica Fox. This isn't about Toni Braxton and Vivica Fox. This is not about Toni Braxton and Vivica Fox. This is about the men that Toni Braxton and Vivica Fox wish they could be with, and all the other women who aged out and are in the same boat with them. And as men, the greatest thing that we could do is perform a triage right off when a business has gone bad, and you cut your losses and you write them off. And that sends if the men increase their value and then say, okay, this is the generation of females that we're writing off. All these chicks, she 40 years or older, we're writing them off because they're too far gone. They're set in their ways. They want to come to you with all this bad programming, all these bad habits. They cannot evolve. They will not change. You would have to spend a lifetime trying to reconfigure them. But the men don't have the leverage to do that. Because most men don't excel to be able to do that. So when she tells you jump, he doesn't even say how high. He's just up in the air. And then he ends up with some substandard ass female that he's made a lifetime commitment to. And that's problematic. So as men, where this needs to start is with us. It needs to start with us, not with them. I told y'all, nice program is not really about the females, it's about us as men. What the hell are we accepting? Aged out females. And I'm not saying that to be disrespectful. I'm saying, hey, ladies, you knew you was fooling around for the first damn 2 decades. Men sitting up here giving you an eternal mulligan. That's a damn problem. Why? Because we are not expecting and demanding the best out of you. That's the problem with that behavior. When we are demanding, when we tell you there's a strict standard, when we tell you we're going to cut you off, that's making you a better woman. When we tell you that you can sit up here and be ragged out, 4-5 bastard kids, a bunch of tattoos sitting up on you, pets, plants, prescription pills sitting up here, you're medicated, you're in therapy half your damn life, you're old as hell, and then we don't hold you that until you, by the way, you're going to get cut off, where we are trashing you. We're trashing you. When we hold you to a standard and we are strict and we will not compromise and we show you that there will be benefits and we give you something to regret. When a woman has to see the one that got away, she lives to regret that, especially if the door is locked behind them. That's all she gonna get. That's how you change things. Not for the ones you wrote off, but for the ones behind them. It's like, by the way, anybody else want to follow them? But it's the men who are refusing to pull that trigger because they don't have the leverage, because otherwise they'd be alone because they know they don't really have the option of saying no. That's why fellas have to stop this garbage, stop being these damn mama's boys, get that cell phone out your damn face, get a damn gym membership, be concerned about getting yourself together, make sure that you get your money all the way to an excellent level. Your job is to be in the top 5% at everything, not just financially. You talk about Malcolm X, how did he change his life? He was reading and reading and reading and reading. He started with himself. And if you have that stop moment where you say, you know what, the status quo ain't gonna make it. Stop telling yourself that the car you drive is satisfactory. Let me go ahead and just go bang on that beast for just a moment here. Then I'm going to get over here on Zoom. Let me tell you something here, fellas. It's pathetic as hell. One of the biggest warning signs I see from a male is when I hear him sitting up here talking about the car he drives and he's okay with no matter what it is. Your car is like the clothes you wear. I said it. Your car is like the clothes you wear. At a certain point in life, your car tells us where you've gotten. Your car is an extension of your personality after a certain point. If your cars are all old and outdated, that tells me about you. Let me explain something to y'all. You can't tell me that you up to date. Your car doesn't have, you have an Android cell phone, but your car doesn't have an infotainment system. It can't connect to Android. It can't connect to Apple CarPlay. You have an Apple phone, but your car can't connect to it. Don't tell me about what you're doing with your cell phone, your car. Well, all I know is when you get in your car, you're a dead zone. I know that. If your car is not up to date, then you're not going to convince me that you are up to date. And I'm not saying that you have to be 22 years old with a brand new car. No, actually, you need to be driving some beaters so you learn how to work on cars so that you can be productive and so you can appreciate when you actually get a new one. You shouldn't start with a new one. You should actually have something old that you can actually afford, and then you earn a new one when you're actually ready for it. You're not ready for it at 20. You're going to go crash the damn thing or go rag it out. When you're actually ready for it, then you can go get it. When you've gone through the process and you've gone through those rites of passage. Now that you have developed a personality, now that you have developed your personality, now you can go get a car that exhibits that. A car that when people see it pull up, they're like, oh, that's you. Oh, that's Bob over there. Oh, that's Jimmy over there. That's his car. You can tell that's, even if you bought a new one, they're like, damn, that look like something Jimmy would buy. I'll be damned, he getting out of it. There he is. Your car is supposed to be an extension of your personality, like your clothes, like your shoes, like your laptop, like the way you speak. These are supposed to be extensions of your personality. And you got fellas sitting up here talking about going from the damn cradle to the grave, driving a car that's old as he is. That's not a virtue. That's not something to brag over. You're telling me that you have not kept up with the times. You're telling me that you are out of step. You're telling me that you're not up to date. You're telling me that you are obsolete and uncompetitive. That's what you're telling me. The real issue here is that most fellas here sit up here and they're so damn fragile they don't want to hear the truth, that they have not solved their financial problems. They claim that they're great problem solvers, and yet they can't solve the financial question. They can't solve that one. They don't have the work ethic. They don't have the concentration. They don't have the innovation. They don't have the ingenuity. They don't have the drive. And so everything in your life about you communicates that to me and to everyone else around you. No wonder you can't get them to listen. No wonder you can't get them to pay attention. No wonder you can't get them to respect you. No wonder you haven't shown them something that speaks for itself. That's what's missing. You haven't shown them something that speaks for itself so that you ain't got to sit up here and talk to them. When they see your results, it's like they coming to you like DJ Quick said, damn, how can I be down? They're coming to you receptive and ready to listen. That's why, fellas, what you driving, what you holding, if you want other men to, and I'm saying you're not getting that to impress people. What I'm saying is you're doing that to get them to stop long enough to have a conversation. You're just doing it for that. It's like women. The reason why a woman needs to make sure that she's got a nice body on her is because what that does is it gets you a conversation. When you show men that he can look at you and see the level of work and effort that's gone into you, it's not about showing your boobs and your butt. It's about, by the way, hey, I'm stopping to get a conversation. When you do encounter the man that you're trying to talk to, you present properly, and you're going to at least be able to stop him to get the conversation. That's the issue. And so for the fellas here, You're just stopping them long enough so that when you do want to talk to them, you can have a conversation. They're receptive because they're like, well, there must be something to it because look at the old boys doing. And if at the end of it, they might decide you're full of garbage or that they just can't do it or whatever. But my real point is, do you know how hard it is to get people to stop and have a conversation and actually listen? Do you understand that? Tell y'all about one thing right here. Like if you go to a certain type of hotel or whatever, you get the valets and things, and when they like your car because you got this big ass full size luxury SUV. And I mean, just one time in particular, I'll say it was Atlanta. It was in Atlanta. But I'm sitting there at the damn hotel and the valet, I'll go ahead and say this, at the W, the valet sits up here and I mean, he gets behind the damn wheel of my truck. Somebody explained to me why it was the middle of the night now. I got there like 11 p.m. Please explain to me why the first thing he did was open the damn sunroof and he hit the damn gas. You heard the damn tires squill off. There was some women who were next to me like, oh, he's taking off in your car. Like, and I'm like, really? I said, yeah, they all do that. I said, yeah, they all do that. When they hear the pipes, and they all do that. And my point is, okay, but when the young man came back, he was ready to listen to anything I had to say. When the young man came back, I could talk to him about anything I wanted to. You pull up in a 79 Cadillac and see if that's what he does, by the way. By the way, pull up in your 79 Fleetwood Brougham and see if you get the same reception when you try that one. So let me go ahead and check over here on Zoom. All right, I think I got Prince over here on Zoom tonight. What's on your mind, brother?
Yeah, bro, Jason, I want to appreciate you for everything. I thought of the word before you said it, debrief. When I was in Desert Storm, we had a particular situation because people don't realize that was the first really desert war that we had as Americans on that scale. And most of the veterans that were combat veterans, they were actually Vietnam veterans, and their experience was in jungle warfare. Even in, I think it's Grenada, it's called, whatever, down in South America, these were places with jungle warfare. And so they were able to teach us things based on what they knew. So it's important to have combat experience like us. We out here dealing with the women. We've been through different things and toils. Also, experts are important. People that were expert at weapons, they was able to tell us, well, this is going to work. This will jam, dealing with all this sand. We got to have experts too, Jason. That's you. I'm going to tell you the other thing. A thing that happened that we couldn't deal with because the choppers would shoot, blowing up our tanks. And they had to come to us and say, so that's why you need people with different perspectives. We say, hey, what's going on? But that killed by two of our soldiers in a tank because they said, when y'all put that fog out, we can't tell who the enemy is. And so what's the solution? They say, y'all not going to want to do it, but put those bright orange things on the top of your tank so we'll know who you are. He said, yeah, they don't really have many people in the air, but the Iraqis, but that's the only way we're going to know who you are because once we come through that smoke, all of y'all look the same. So it's really good. See, this is what's going to change the men, Jason. This is what's going to change the men. We can't change people that don't want to change. We have to offer them something different from what the other men are offering, which is nothing. We can't go and change the women. They're going to respond the way they're going to do it. Now, I want to ask you a question, Jason. The woman, the truck driving sister, she made a point. She tried to make a point about the appearance of the woman. You've had porn stars on your broadcast, and some of them didn't have no tattoos. You had to talk to them for a while before you saw the emotional trauma. How do you detect when a woman can look the part, but at the same time, there's something going on deeper?
All right. Well, first of all, that is not discernment. It's not sorcery. That's something that we pick up with time. You picked it up with experiences. Look, the bottom line is you learn from mistakes.
Yes.
That's why I tell fellas here, it's like, this is the reason why these guys being so damn dog ass desperate for, sex is a bad thing, because it makes it where you become afraid. You become afraid of a relationship ending. You become afraid of not having her there. Fellas your age, Prince, talking about they don't want to be in the sexual marketplace or whatever. I'm just like, okay, then you're going to get took by the first damn thing that'll take you. That's what's going to happen to you. You are going to be the most vulnerable to a female who presents well. She doesn't even have to pull the wool over your eyes. You're already covering them. So with that being the case, experience is what gives us this. We can't be fragile as men. We can't be. Like, for example, you go back to those movies and stuff, you like Robert De Niro in Heat when he told him, don't be with a woman you can't walk away from in 30 seconds. Don't get into a relationship you can't walk away from in 30 seconds. You see the Godfather movies. These are things that men get taught. These are things that men get taught. So that's the thing. That's the thing, is that we have to have experiences.
Oh, that's important.
That's how that's with anything in life. You cannot be afraid to learn. I'm a big believer in telling guys, find a cool chick and whatnot, spend as much time with her as you want to, as long as it doesn't interfere with what you're doing. And keep in the back of your mind, I'm not thinking a year from now. I'm thinking maybe a week from now. I'm not sitting here telling myself that you're going to be here in a year. No matter how much I like you, I am not making that a requisite. I'm making right here, right now a requisite. So everything you do with her, you can learn about restaurants, learn about places, learn about perfumes, learn about shoes. This is how you go to that whole experience. You're supposed to be making that quality time. And quality time is how it helps you develop as a man.
Okay.
Not what you quote do for her, but how it helps you develop as a man. When you're not, if your goal is holding on to her, if that becomes your goal, now you start overlooking things. And you start dismissing things, and you start disregarding things. And in reality, what you don't realize, what you're doing is you're not making it from year to year. You're actually making it from night to night.
Yes, sir.
Because every day now is going to be a damn gunfight.
Yes. Jason, do you believe that a woman that has multiple abortions, does it affect her, the way the woman views or deal with men? Do you think, because is that a type of trauma? Because we never talk about it, because you ask the woman, she say, well, I don't have any children. But do you think, I don't know if some women that callous, I know I don't have no answer to the question. I'm just wondering what you think about that. These invisible wounds.
What do I think about women who have them?
No, I'm talking about even if she doesn't tell men, if women that have multiple abortions, do you think it affects the way they deal with men? We can't get in their mind, but it's like a lot of times we can't put a finger on why they're acting this way. And sometimes you'll find out that they had abortions. Oh, okay. And they sometimes name the children. See, and some people feel like, well, if they don't have a child, that's no harm, no foul. I think that has a psychological effect on women, personally. What's your perspective, Jason?
Women and men are like cars. A woman is her past performance and her present condition. A man is his present value and his future condition.
Okay.
And those things matter especially when you have super traumatic experiences. Giving birth is supposed to be sacred to a woman. If she doesn't have any value of that, nigga, wake up. That you're a guy who's playing Russian roulette with himself.
Yes.
This is going to bite you. Not if, ands, or buts, it's going to. It's going to.
Now, Jason, a woman that shows open contempt, I'm not saying a little hostility here and there, but if she shows open contempt, is that the point of no return as far as dealing with her? Maybe she may still stay at a lower status, but how do you feel about that? What do you tell a young man when a woman starts showing open contempt? Is that the turning point?
When a woman expresses contempt, that's a zero tolerance policy.
Yes, sir.
So as far as I'm concerned, at best, she will get immediately demoted. And at worst, she gets cut from the team. More often than not, she needs to be cut from the team.
Okay.
Open contempt is not really something you can keep around you.
No.
That's not safe. It's not physically safe. It's not socially safe. It's not financially safe. contempt is not something a man can afford to keep around. And once somebody declares they're your enemy, that's it. Contempt means they see you as an adversary.
Yes.
And a man is not safe when he's got adversaries sitting right next to him, and damn sure not safe if she's laying in the same bed with you.
Even if she's 5 foot tall, 4'9", guys, you better wake up. Them are some of the most dangerous women.
But the other thing is you have to determine what she's developed contempt for.
Okay. That's interesting.
There's the other thing right there is that a lot of men, it's not about whether or not she likes you or not. I mean, that's important to know as well. But the real thing is once you've identified contempt, it would do yourself a good favor as a post-mortem to identify where this came from.
Okay.
Because that will help you in the future. In some cases, it might help you in the here and now because it might be justifiable.
Yes, sir.
Prince, you slept with my mama. I was okay. Well, I see why she mad. Jason, she got open contempt. Well, why is that? I had a mama hollering. Those old Princess. I think I see why she mad at you, bro.
Take care of the family, man. Take care of the family.
That's going to be some contempt, Prince. I was with you right up until the end, but this brother, you thought this was going to go well. No, so, like I say, it may be justifiable, in which case that might be something for you to reflect on.
Yes.
You might have just been knocking it out of the park so much. I'm talking about you're producing, and I've been here. A lot of fellas have been here. You're doing so good. You're doing so well. Everything's hitting on all cylinders, and sometimes you tell yourself you can't do no wrong.
That's
sometimes
true.
You go hog wild. Now, the females do this while they rack up all these damn body counts. As men, sometimes it can be troublesome when you start telling yourself that just everything's okay. Just I'm striking gold. Just everywhere I'm in, every time I throw this axe, it's gold. And that can lull you into, being careless or being in some situations. So you don't want to become a person who's undisciplined.
Yes.
So if she is contemptuous and it's valid, I'm hoping you're wise enough to recognize that, and that may be an area for improvement.
Now let me ask you this, Jason. When we get so focused as men, is it a proper role for your woman to put you in check sometime? Say, hey, you're not focused. You off the mark here. What's her role in that? Is it the way she approaches you, or is it her job?
I mean, if you're desirable enough and whatnot, she's going to.
Okay.
So there's the real thing. I'm not in the issue of chasing women. I think men are much better when you attract women. Women are gonna make it known what they want,
Yes. Now, Jason, you talked about these scavenger dudes. Are they affecting the leverage that men have? I know as higher men go, the less the effect these scavengers and these scallywags are going to have on the higher producing men. But overall, do you think that these scavengers out here willing to, it's a 70-year-old up in there, got that man wife taking them on road trips and stuff, Do you think that still has effect on men's leverage overall when it comes to women?
Look, every time a scavenger, the real issue is the old ones, because the old ones got a little nest egg. Yeah. And what these females have figured out is if she's the low-hanging fruit, if she's the most undesirable, there's some old bastard. The old fellas out here, dog-ass desperate. They're the worst. He's the worst because he doesn't even care about the money. He's just like, man, look here. I'm just tired of being alone. There's just so much of that going on that they just don't care. So those guys contaminate the pool for all of us. Those fellas who do that, if different is just one or two, but you have a whole bunch of them, and they just contaminate the whole damn game for everybody.
And I don't know why those guys, if they like that, they don't have whatever it takes to get the woman, just pay to play. I'm not one that really believes in prostitution, but just go ahead and, take care of them and just stop tripping. You ain't got to get all caught up. They got to have a woman sitting around them. That's what confuses me. Now, Jason, who do you think, having a relationship with an older woman, talking about these Vivica Fox and different people, do you think they become complacent faster than a younger woman will? As far as when it comes to them saying, hey, you know, because the young woman may not have as much experience, but the older women, I don't know, do they have an agenda?
Well, of course, dude. I mean, they're trying to throw a buzzer beater. They're trying. This is the real thing about it, is that, look, when these females get to a point where it's like a guy that they weren't checking for or whatever, when you become a woman's bailout, that's the worst condition to be in.
Yes.
These chicks, and you know it, Prince, I mean, as they get older, they get more desperate.
Oh,
and
Lord.
this is where the lack of satisfaction comes from. And as a man, if you're not her first resort and her first option, that's it, especially when she's letting you know. In the modern era, the problem is when you were a kid growing up, dude, there wasn't so many of these women out here trying to make six figures.
No.
There's so much less distance between them and that today that even being an old dude sitting up here trying to leverage your damn money and whatnot, if she doesn't appreciate it, and she won't, eventually she's going to start acting like it. You're not going to be able to keep her grateful unless she's dependent. You're not going to be able to keep her grateful unless she's dependent. And the X factor that gets dismissed is that two things: status and passion.
Yes.
That's the X factor that men disregard. Money doesn't take the place of passion.
Oh boy.
Money don't take the place of that. You can't buy it. You can't purchase it. You can't. That's it.
Okay. I want to ask you about that concept of passion that you have. Is passion a part of sex, or is passion something that's greater than sex?
Well, sex just enhances it.
Okay.
It just enhances it. So that's just one of those things, you know. It enhances that. Sex happens between your ears, not between your legs.
Okay, right.
It happens between your ears. And the real thing is, fellas don't cultivate that first. I had the fellow who was asking me about this before, about how to use the money and stuff like that. And I said, you don't start there. You start with yourself. Money just adds value to what you already are.
Okay.
It just adds value to what you already are. So as a man, fellas don't want to start there. Everybody wants things to be easy. What I'm saying is that when you focus on money first, now you've reduced it to a transaction.
Okay.
Now you reduce it to a transaction. In the chat room, Hurricane, you can call up on Zoom, dude. You're on the internet right now. You got access to Zoom. The link is at the top of the chat. You have 2 minutes for me to see you on Zoom, sir. Be there or be square. In any case, when you lead with money, that's because you're trying to purchase something. And fellas what I'm saying is that fellas they encourage females to reduce everything to transactions when men get weak. Let's be very, very clear. Prostitution, OnlyFans, YouPorn, those things wouldn't be popping if women could not make themselves independently rich if most of the male population was not desperate for sex.
There you go.
Women have always known, if I can't get the job nowhere else, I can throw these draws. Exactly. And it's not as if it's never been this. I mean, in some cases they are struggling in a lot of cases, but the bottom line is there's always a market. There's always a market, and that's the problem.
Oh.
So that type of weakness, you and me are not going to convince. Like I say, women will sit up here and listen to us talk all this talk, but as long as they know this, take a look at their DMs, dude. Every female on Facebook has got somebody popping up in their damn DMs every week. Yes. At least one. I don't care how big she is. I don't care how small she is. I don't care how young she is. I don't care how old she is. Somebody popping up in her DMs every week. You and I are never going to convince them that there's not a market for them.
No.
That's the reason they don't listen. Now, what they do listen for is they hate the quality of the men. But as long as that's happening, that's what creates that perception to them that whenever I get ready to pull the trigger, there'll be somebody in my DMs and what they're like is break glass in case of emergency.
Yes.
That's the attitude they bring. And they really mean that. So as men, just understand these other guys providing this counterweight, that's problematic. And it always has been.
Okay.
It always has been. And we're not really going to be able to. in a lot of cases not to be able to eliminate that. The culture of men is what needs to change.
Okay.
Stop trying to lean on the women. It's the culture among us as men. That's why, for example, man, that's what I always say about Kevin, that, you know, the great failure there was that it's more popular to talk to the women, but he should have made it a point to talk to the men at least once a week. The problem was he didn't know what to say to them. You know, just he was trying to get on himself. So you don't know what to tell them what to do next. And every time he tried, it didn't go well. But we're not going to change the women. We can make interesting content, but we're not going to change the women. And furthermore, we're not going to change our position. Well, Jason, we don't care about what them females say. Then you're a dumbass. Because they are making laws.
Ooh, talk about it.
They're making laws. That's the one thing I want y'all to understand. Do you all understand that right now they've made a bunch of laws against us?
Yes.
They started with the abortion thing, that you cannot decide if your child is born. Now, that was a bellwether moment when they said that the woman has ownership of your child.
DNA.
Now, that was what the court said, is the woman has ownership. That she's got primacy over your child. Now, that was a bellwether moment. That was a watershed moment. The civil rights generation, the males were like, oh, good. Now I ain't got the pressure to get rid of that little bastard. All right. And what I'm saying is, do you realize what they did? That was just a culture change. Rollo Tomasi and friends worry about it from a birth control standpoint. I worry about it from a societal standpoint, is that you realize that's a law now, right? You do realize that's legislation now, right? Whether or not your child is born, that's legislation. That you are no longer the final word. She has veto power over you. Now, what I'm saying is that that's societal. Do you think that this is going to stop here? And what you learned is, I'll be damned, it ain't gonna stop here. Next thing you know, because they found that so-called reproductive rights, wow, we can sit up here and yank a lot of chains on a lot of men and even enslave them by using their drive for sex against them. Tell them that you want a relationship, tell them you want a kid, and then once you do that, all right, nigga, now I got you, here's the bait and switch. And the courts and Kamala Harris and the rest of them will back you up. So next thing you know, that's why the women have never been afraid to get pregnant, because they know I can either get rid of the kid or trap your ass.
Exactly.
Well, what do you know? Just like with abortion, this is about how does this give you power over men. Here comes child support. So whether she gets rid of the child, she has power over you, and whether she keeps the child, she has power over you. Remember, and it gets real treacherous, they give them the ability to drop your kid off at the damn fire station. Remember?
Your child. Sell. They can even sometimes put them up for adoption and not even tell you.
Now that's giving them not equal rights, that's superior rights.
Yes, sir.
So when you should have been all ears up when you saw that abortion thing happen.
Yes, sir.
Then you told yourself, well, how much worse can it be? So we can control the kids, we can control the birthing process, and now we're going to segue over. It's taken 30, 40 years to get there, but it's been a slow creep, but they've segued over. Now what they want is the ability to force men to take care of them. And I'm not talking about welfare. They want to force men to take care of them. And that's why I was sitting up here beating the damn drum about Tiger Woods.
Okay.
Other folk caught on to it much later. Jason Black was first through the door. Other folks thought there were sexier stories at the time to talk about. I didn't care whether people love that story or not. I said, this is a bellwether moment. And whatever happens to Tiger Woods in that courtroom, that's going to have ramifications for all of us.
Yes, sir.
This woman is trying to say, I want to have wife rights as his girlfriend.
Oh, man.
Not common law wife, not no girl. I want wife rights as his girlfriend. I want you to say that he can't kick me out of the house. Well, ma'am, you're not married to him. You don't have rights to be there. Furthermore, he's gotten around that because he doesn't own the house. The trust does. So yeah, you can't be there. Well, he needs to pay me if we're going to break up, he needs to pay me because I'm going to suffer a tremendous drop in lifestyle if I'm not still with him. Well, ma'am, you all have bastardized this to an insane extent with the marital laws, but he's not your husband. Yes, but I want you to treat him as if he is. Invalidate the NDA, take him to court, and tell him he needs to treat me like a wife, even though I know I'm not one.
So now, what's the purpose of the NDA?
The NDA is so that she can't talk about him and sit up here and spread gossip or rumors or his personal information. What he's saying is that what an NDA does is it is supposed to ensure that whatever your conversations are between you and this other person stay between you and this other person. Whatever information about you occurs between you and this other person stays between you and this other person. That's why the females have been filing lawsuits up there in New York, because that thing up there in New York is NDAs are valid, but NDAs cannot be used to conceal a crime.
Gotcha.
That was why I told y'all when she said they were talking about he assaulted her and sexual assault and this kind of stuff there. I'm like, she's fishing for a way to break that NDA. That was why I told y'all from the beginning. She's fishing for a way to break that NDA. So this is what the courts have told the women. Even if you sign an NDA, oh, well, just say that he committed a crime against you and now you can break the NDA. Now you can break it. And what I'm saying is over the last 40 years, you've seen as they've modified law after law, statute after statute, everything after everything here. And it's to give preferential treatment and preferential rights and control of us control over us by them.
Yes.
That now you've got whole laws out here specifically only focusing on empowering women. Here's the issue. A law is not supposed to give women superior rights. Everything's supposed to be equal. If she's got a right to abortion, you're supposed to have her that right too. If she's got a right to family medical leave, you're supposed to have that too. If she has a right to maternity leave, you're supposed to have that right too. There's not supposed to be special laws made just for women. Now you got them sitting up here telling stores they got to put feminine products in the damn bathrooms. Now that's not equal.
No, it's not.
Okay, but you don't hear the women screaming for it should be equal either. You don't hear them telling the courts, hey, by the way, don't leave the men out. And even though it's been explained to them, by the way, the men should have the same right. The women are like, nah, not really. Okay, but the bottom line is when you have so many males desperate for sex, they're not making the same noise. So as long as there's some Lizzo broad willing to splash on top of him, he's ignoring what the hell is happening. And meanwhile, until they come get him, now they're making laws. This guy up there in Detroit, sitting up here, got clowned by the damn world. He went viral in the worst damn way. He's driving around on a suspended license. Okay, but I have to remind you that suspended license was for child support. Now, according to him, it was like a decade ago that he said that he paid it and stuff, and that the friend of the court did not contact the Secretary of State to tell him he paid it off. They said, so I don't know if that's true or not. I don't think it is. This guy didn't strike me as bulb. But even if it were true, my whole thing is, by the way, my nigga, you went viral behind some child support.
Yeah, that's not true.
Okay, but I'm saying the chick he laid up with, was she worth all this? Because he obviously ignored all that. He ignored it. Let me be very, very clear about something. Women are not politically more active than men, but they are politically louder.
Okay.
Women are not politically more active, they're politically louder. But that's because men are where the money is. Men are where the money is, men are where the resources are. So what they're doing is trying to compel the government to force us to part with our resources. And once again, I don't mean no damn welfare in Section 8.
I'm about our money personally.
No. I'm talking about she's like, I need to be in a Bentley. I need to have a Fendi bag. That's what I mean. Niggas are not listening when I say that. This is where we're at, not where we're going. This is where we are right now. That's why you hear me sitting up here illuminating the situation with Diddy. I don't give a damn what you think about his character as a person. Take a look at what these women are doing.
Right.
You're not a victim when you stay for 10 damn years. If you tolerate that for 10 damn years, you're not a victim. Especially when you're like, yeah, but he was going to give me, I stayed because he was going to give me a record deal. This is not a damn victim.
No.
And so now after all these, we watch with Bill Cosby, Michael Jackson, we can go down the damn road. down the damn list. Now what they're trying to tell women is that if he won't marry you and you break up with him, just accuse him of a crime. Now, if you're making the assumption that women would not sit up here and lie, they lie every damn day.
Every day.
They lie every day. They tell multiple lies in a day. And she says, well, if I'm unhappy, I have the right to do so. I have the right to lie on you if I'm not happy. So if lying on you gets me what I want, that's okay. Remember, we still have not made the law. We have still not made the laws equitable, where if a woman makes a false allegation, that's a criminal offense. We have not secured that.
Believe all women.
Women have abortion, but men don't have paternity fraud.
No.
Women have abortion, but paternity fraud is not a crime. Not paying child support is a crime. Unless you're the mother, then you don't have to pay child support. The kids can, as the man, you have to keep the kids living in a certain standard. The woman is not required to do that. Single moms are not required to have their kids living in a certain standard.
No.
Remember that. Okay, but then we don't have paternity fraud. We don't have that. So that, and you don't hear anybody you don't hear the women stomping for it either. No. And what I'm saying is that men as a group have to stop sitting up here. Well, long as I got me a little money and a little drink and a little female to lay up with till it goes bad, well then we'll be okay. I'll take it. I'm just mind my business and sit over here. Yeah, until the inevitable happens. Until the inevitable happens.
Do you think they're trying to shimmy these laws to where they can get to the men like yourself, like myself, where we're not playing the game? Do you think they're trying to really put it, if we're in a long-term relationship with a woman, they're going to try to, like they're doing with a Diddy or different people, because these laws are not set on our behalf, but they're expecting us at some point, like the drizzle movement, different things. Do you think they're going to have a counter narrative or something they do legally, like a counter offensive against us? Look, we don't play the game?
What you're really asking is a political question.
Okay.
What they are trying to tell us is that as men, we don't own our own bodies.
The hell with that.
That our labor, our resources, our productivity belongs to women and the state.
Not a slave.
That's what they're trying to do.
I hear you, brother.
They're trying to tell us that we don't own our bodies and that our bodies belong to the state. Our productivity belongs to the state. So everything is about conditioning you and coaxing you. That's why you see all these articles. They talk about the men being economically undesirable, but they don't talk about the fact that, by the way, the men still earn much more than the women. So what the hell are you talking about? Every time you turn around, somebody's trying to shame you and badger you into working harder. Do more. Do more. Okay, but don't do more in service to yourself. So the women need to go to school, get degrees, do whatever they need to in order to do what's best for them. But you need to go and become a six-figure nigga so you can do what's best for her. Now, when a woman gets married, people tell her do what's best for her. But when you get married, they tell you need to do what's best for the woman. And what I'm saying is that's where we're at here. And now it's become a political movement that everybody is conspiring to get men to work harder, excel, so that the women have more rights. So the women have more control over you. So you will be working harder than you've ever worked to get less than you've ever gotten. And then you be happy with it. Well, Jason, can you show me another area in society where this works? Absolutely. Right now, you have this rental movement, basically. So they're telling you, the saying there, you will, in the future, you will own nothing and be happy.
Yeah.
So now here you are with whole subdivisions. Now they're talking about this in places like Florida, whole subdivisions being built that are being built only to rent.
Renting new homes. Yes, they are.
But brand new houses, whole subdivisions being built only to rent. Now we used to call that Section 8. But yes. we moved a hell of a long way from that. So they're building whole subdivisions now only the houses now, not condos or towers, whole subdivisions of houses only to rent.
That you won't own.
Now, isn't that interesting? Now, if you're going to have investors need to be investing in commercial property. So apartment buildings, high rises, that's where they need to be. They don't need to be taking up the housing stock. They don't need to be taking up the home stock. The people need to, if they're raising their kids, they need access to school districts and stuff like that. You're building whole subdivisions. That's going to be taking up real estate with the school districts. In case nobody caught that. Yeah. Those houses are there in a certain county. Well, they're taking up real estate for the school districts. If they're building a house that can only be rented, that you can't make long-term plans on that. That's just year to year. So what I'm saying is, okay, that's not in the best interest of the school or the community to have that. So yeah, there can be rental stuff. We need to put commercials where it needs to be. Oh, we want you to go ahead and work harder than you ever worked to get less than you've ever gotten. Because of course their idea is that it'll be men paying for this, not women. They don't think it'll be men paying for this. They don't think it'll be women paying for this. This will be men paying for it. And what do you know? You're back in the trick bag again. There you go. So everybody is focusing and concentrating their efforts on how to make us better tools of servitude, how to extract our resources forcefully. That's what it's all about now. How do we maneuver men into a situation where everything is so damn expensive that they're now going to be complete wage slaves? And the more money they make, we have an endless array of weapons to be able to use against them to extract their resources from them by force. If the women make false allegations, if she's successful, you got to pay the women. If she's unsuccessful, it doesn't matter. You have to pay the court anyway. So the government's going to make money no matter what. So they're like, okay, fine. The more we do this to you, the better. The more we do it, the better. Please understand that. I want you all to understand that. Please understand that. You all don't understand about the court system, about judges. How do you think they get paid? Yes. Most of these courts around the country right now, they're surviving on court fees.
Yes.
So they have an incentive. If you set foot in that courtroom, you got to pay.
Jason, before you step in there, they make you go to mediation. You got to pay for mediation.
Brother, I'm talking about traffic tickets. I'm talking about false charges. I'm talking about, evictions. I'm talking, if you step foot in that courtroom, somebody, okay, if you don't pay us today, you're definitely going to pay us before you leave. Everything is set up, is engineered now to do that because these courts need that. Tax dollars are not enough. They're trying to run these things like a business. So, and they've got many mechanisms. That's the whole thing about the guy. If you believe his statement, the guy who's running around with suspended license on Zoom, if you believe his statement that it was over child support and he paid it, but he thought the court was going to report that to the Secretary of State's office and they didn't. Well, okay, but that's because the Secretary of State's office is like, yeah, by the way, you got to pay us again. Yeah, you paid off the child support, but by the way, we got to have a filing fee or whatever the hell the case may be. So yeah, everybody's looking to sit up here and get their beak wet. And what I'm saying is, as men, we've done ourselves a tremendous, grievous harm, starting with the civil rights generation, but continuing today. If men do not recognize this and address this as a political movement,
I want to know, political,
then we are in for modern day Rome slavery of the citizen. And the women will simply be used as leverage to do that. Remember, the men are the dangerous ones in society. Women don't start revolutions, men do.
Men do.
So yeah, there's a reason why so much of the political structure is concentrated towards enslaving you. Yeah, women don't start revolutions, you fellas do. So if we can't get you on drugs and if we can't get you chasing up draws, we'll see if we can lock you down some other way. But we got to keep you under control. We got to keep you under control. And your resources give you power. Okay, you fellas, there are too many males today who can make six figures.
Yes. That's a problem.
How do we corral that and control it and put in a stopgap where at any time we need to, we can cut those numbers down? Oh, we'll deputize the females. We used to have to deputize the police. Now we'll deputize the females. And that's what I'm saying, that now it's extended to a point of, by the way, even if you have a girlfriend, we want to have the ability to say, yeah. We're trying to figure out how to thread that needle because the men are not proposing to marry anymore.
That's why the mass rates that bad. The mass rates are that bad.
Well, here's the problem. The problem is, you know, you have a country right now. Y'all got to understand. Folks talk about nations being incorporated and they think about it the wrong way. You listen to these status correction people and it just screws your stupid little mind up. But in any case, nations, manpower is critical to a nation. It's critical.
Right.
Who's going to fight their wars? Who's going to... the government makes these wars and stuff, but they need bodies to enforce policy. So if you have a situation where China has 100 million man army and you've only got 300 million citizens in the United States, that counts men, women, and children. That's not great odds. Now, the Chinese army is actually much smaller than that. But my point is, if you are America thinking that in order to enforce your socioeconomic policy in the Pacific Rim that has kept you rich through Bretton Woods. For those of you who don't know about Bretton Woods Act, go ahead and look it up. But that's how America took over the world, was Bretton Woods. All right. Well, if you're going to continue that with the dollar as the world's reserve currency, which has in turn ensured your wealth as the world's strongest superpower, well, sometimes you're going to go slap some niggas up. Sometimes you're going to go smack them up.
Yeah, you do.
What was it that made America? I mean, you fought in Gulf War I. Well, you know full damn well. I mean, what the hell happened? Gulf War I, Saddam Hussein invades Kuwait. Osama bin Laden told the Kuwaitis and the Saudis and whatnot that he would bring the Mujahideen down there from Afghanistan. It's like, okay, we're going to come handle the business. The Saudis said, yeah, don't worry about that. We have somebody else. Said, well, who are you talking about? America's going to send us 100,000 soldiers. We have the world's largest most well-equipped, most sophisticated mercenary army on the planet. We'll have this handled within a matter of months. Thanks very much. Bin Laden took grievous offense at this, and all these infidels sitting up here running around Saudi Arabia. You saw that firsthand. So he took grievous offense. 10 years later, 9/11 happens. So my whole point is, okay, you can't go into Kuwait without a large army. Being in the military, you also understand that it's always been the goal of the United States military to be able to fight two major fronts simultaneously.
Exactly.
Now, they've always said that. Now, how practical that is, I don't know. I've always thought that was a bunch of hype. I don't see logistically how that happens. But they've always said that was their goal, is to be able to fight two major offensive simultaneously.
But it hadn't worked with Napoleon. He lost because he was trying to fight two offensives. Germany was they turned on Russia, and they was trying to fight to the west. It never works out, even though people have tried it.
Spreading out an army too many places at once it never works out very well for you. In theory, it's great. In policy, it's great. In practice, it doesn't work out very well. But what I'm saying is, okay, do you realize how many bodies you need for that?
A lot.
You're going to need, the U.S. military's got millions of members, although they're having trouble retaining them for a certain set of reasons. Millions of people, dude. That's millions. Last time I saw it was 2 million, but I don't think those numbers are there anymore. For the longest time, the number was 2 million people. Now it's no longer there. What I'm saying is, okay, where are you going to get your new soldiers from? You know, to go enforce that oil policy you have. Where are you going to get them? Where are you going to get those soldiers from to be military advisors to go over there in Ukraine and do things they say you're going to claim they ain't doing, but they actually are? Where if China invades Taiwan, where are you going to get the soldiers to go send against them? What are you going to do? Because you used to have that manpower, now you don't. So you see, they need to have more children.
Yes.
So you need a population that's going to do that. That's why they're letting all these illegals over here. It's like, okay, once they get here, it's like fine, because a bunch of them will end up in the military by necessity.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they don't care. They don't care where you were in the military. They don't care where you came from. As long as you got the gun in your hand and you do what the hell you're told, they don't care where you came from.
You got people that retired that are not U.S. citizens. One guy got a DUI. He had been in the military 25 years, retired, but he had to go back to Mexico.
Well, like I say, I mean, eventually they won't have to do that. They're going to need them to stay. So my whole point about it is that, you know, you need the bodies for that. So they need for men and women to continue copulating, but they want to be able to control the process.
They don't want us doing it on our terms. So they're going to emasculate us. The government is trying to dominate us as men just to make us breeders. Is that what they're trying to do, Jason?
I mean, look, as long as you're working, you're paying taxes. We keep raising the taxes on you at lower levels. They keep saying you're going to tax the rich. The rich people don't have enough money to pay the taxes for all these wars. Everybody got to pay more. So they sit up here and as men, you're going to work harder to do more so you can keep up with this tax burden as they increase what they're doing.
Right.
And we need even more because the problem is we can't tax you. So this is why most people today don't understand the taxes that they're actually paying. There's actually a bunch of taxes that you're paying that you're not aware of because they are not actually called taxes. Yeah, Jason, what do you mean? For example, one of the sneaky little things, because everything's got to be sneaky now. We don't have taxes, we all have fees. Well, everybody has a driver's license. So what happens every couple of years? They keep increasing how much that is. Because you see, people are sensitive to taxes. But fees like for driver's licenses can usually be increased without having to have a poll or a vote or anything.
Tollway fees?
Well, toll fees, sure, but people can avoid a toll. Can you avoid that driver's license the way you did that toll?
No.
Can you avoid that one? You know, fees on they call them fees on your electric bills and stuff like that. Or, you know, sales tax. Usually you can jack it up in a lot of the cases without saying anything. So there's a number of different things, business licenses, you know, so there's all kinds of little sneaky things you can do to be able to raise revenue and raise the cost on the people and raise what they're paying. There's sneaky little ways you can do that. And now people have such a bad taste in their mouths about taxes. That's why they keep switching up to all these sneaky things by alternative strategies. How do we tax you without calling it a tax? How do we do that? Can we weaponize child support? Can we weaponize divorce? Can we weaponize alimony?
Yes, sir.
Can we weaponize all of those things? Because remember, child support goes to the state, not the woman. For folks who don't know that, that's the reason why child support is a problem, because it goes to the state, not her.
And they get a portion of it.
And they get a portion of it. So yes, now, and you figured it out. Well, yeah, they're incentivized to get you on child support. Now they're incentivized. And if you don't, that's okay. You're paying property taxes and stuff. So we can either get you one way, or we're trying to say that we get you one way or the other. But we need you to go ahead and copulate. We need you to have more children. And, you know, man, we're making it difficult, but we need you to, if the fellows are desperate, they'll go ahead and knock it out. And that was the one, that's why people have had such a hard time reconciling this in their heads about welfare and food stamps and stuff like that. Why is it the government is so obvious what needs to be done, but the government's enabling it? Yes, because what the white middle class doesn't understand is, and you know this, the white middle class does not understand that the American military does not run on the white middle class.
No.
The military runs on black folk.
Black folk.
Minorities at best, black folk in particular.
Black folks. You're going to see a few Puerto Ricans in there. You see Jamaicans in there, but it's almost us, FBA, because you can go to any military base, you're going to see a whole bunch of black people. And when it comes to combat zones, we make up at least 50% of where you're at or more.
Correct. And you can't substitute a human being in a combat zone. There's no substitute for it. You can work on your robots or whatever else. We ain't got that worked out yet. So you're going to have to send some people. So the bottom line is these programs and stuff like that, there's a small tax to pay to have soldiers to be able to send off somewhere. You can't replicate that. You can't substitute it. You can't outsource it. You have to have your own citizenry to go and do that. You have to. So yes, we don't give a damn how many kids Bushika got. Some of them going to end up in the military, some are going to end up in prison. They serve the cause either way. But we need more bodies.
Do you think they should draft women or make them sign up for selective service?
Women need to be required to live the way men do.
Ooh,
because right now they've been given a bunch of preferential treatment. What I'm saying is that as men, we need to start advocating openly to say that women need to live the way men do, and we're not going to back off of it. Furthermore, we need to put our dollars where our mouths are. The bottom line is that we can say whatever the hell we want to. Women speak with their damn wallets.
Yes, they do.
On Sunday morning, they speak with their wallets. He's a fraudster, he's a liar, and the women speak with their wallets. With politicians, they speak with their wallets. Might not be as much as men, but they speak with their damn wallets. Men sitting up here trying to figure out where they go trick off at. As opposed to saying, you know what, we need to start investing on our damn own.
Yes, sir.
And there's where we end up messing up at. So that's why I put up a question here yesterday on the community page here on the business, here on YouTube. Asking the question, if women had to get their families, their mothers and their fathers, to put up a bond that covers 3 to 5 years of alimony before she is allowed to get married. And what I'm saying is that if the first 3 to 5 years of alimony got to come out of your parents' pockets or your family's pockets, that you can't get married until they sign off on that. Then do you think that women would still be sitting up here pushing for marriage? They only push for marriage because, like, okay, I get a bunch of free benefits. You know what? Okay, make sure that everybody is paying their fair share. So, to make sure that we're all equally invested, if your family had to pay for the first 3 years of alimony, would they still back you?
I think that would be fair because they know what type of child they have. They know what type of daughter they have. And are they willing to take the risk? I think that would, I'm from a family of all females. Yeah. Would you consider that a type of dowry?
No. That's not a dowry. No. No.
I'm messing with you, Jason.
No, that's not a dowry. I know because there was folk in the comments talking about dowry. This is not a dowry. It's a bond. That's what I meant. That if your daughter files divorce, you have to pay. You gonna put up whatever it is when you go to court, and it's like, okay, we're gonna swing for the fences. That's good. We're glad to see. Because if she can't adjust anything, okay, if you're so confident about her getting married and she's such wife material, you don't sit up here and expect the man she's marrying to have more faith in this than you do.
Real talk.
So he's going to take all the liability and all the risk, and you and your family are sitting over there just waiting to sit up with a bag and reap the resources. So no, as men, if we had some sense about that, that's the kind of thing you push forward to say, okay, everybody needs to put skin in this game. Everybody. So if we're going to get divorced, you all are going to take the first 3 to 5 years of alimony. I'll take the rest. And then if that all of a sudden and what I'm saying is that, understand, even as a thought experiment, are the women as enthused to still get married now? That she knows, but because what I'm saying is that you understand what I'm saying. If she pulls that trigger, she's not pulling it on you.
Pulling on her parents, her family.
She's pulling it on them. Now, if this is that important to her, if she's really getting divorced for sincere reasons, she's going to go ahead and pull that trigger anyway.
Yes.
Hey, mom, dad, yeah, it's not working out. Yeah, okay. Y'all take care of this and stuff. I went into it in good faith. It's like, okay, wait a minute now. All of a sudden, the family's going to let you know that, by the way, we actually don't have much faith in her as a wife. All of a sudden, it's going to be that. All of a sudden.
Question them. Okay.
Yes, because if she's sitting there telling them, yeah, y'all going to pay this alimony for the next 3 to 5 years because I got to get divorced. And what I'm saying is that makes accountability. Because I can't guarantee that you're sincere in marrying this man. I can't guarantee that Thanksgiving's going to be hella awkward this year. I'll let you have the last word.
Jason, I want to ask you, is the last train leaving different for a celebrity woman or an accomplished woman or a woman that has some resources? Or is it just the same? Are they in the same boat as all other women?
I mean, women as a group want similar things, but it's hella worse for a celebrity or well-known female because once you become famous, you can't be unfamous.
No.
Like if you've been on a TV show that resonated with people and has a big following or whatever, that's going to be you for the rest of your life. That's going to be you for the rest of your life. That's going to be you. And what I'm saying is attention is the most powerful drug out there. You want to know why so many WWE wrestlers end up dead? Attention. You want to know why so many Hollywood stars end up dead? Attention. Once you walk into a place and everybody is smiling and, I don't know what kind of childhood the person had, but now you're an adult and people, just everywhere you go, people are smiling at you and laughing. Hey, they're happy to see you. Everybody is your fan. Let me tell you, for a female, brother, that's crack, cocaine, and heroin all combined.
All combined.
All together. So she will never get tired of that. Never. Okay, now you put it on an international level. So in other words, now she can't walk away from it. So no woman wants to take a step down in status. If a woman is a star, now she's taking a step down in status publicly. All eyes are on her and she's taking a step down in status publicly. Yeah, dude, no. Your woman don't want to do that in the little old town you're in. I know you're in Houston, but she don't want to do that where her neighbors are. Now imagine across the board in America, Jennifer Lopez is going to try to hold on to Ben Affleck for dear life.
Yes.
Even though I don't think it's going to happen. Jeannie Mai, take a look at her now. She was giving you the strong and independent talk when beforehand, old boy filed for divorce. Now she's acting like everybody else. You wouldn't know that she has a talk show and this, that, and the other. You would think she was just another chick out here trying to chase a bag and hoping for some child support money to get flicked off at the beginning of the month. So what I'm saying is that step down in status publicly with all eyes on you, this takes being self-conscious to a whole new level. So it's definitely different. It is tremendously different because everybody's going to be looking at who you can get next.
Ooh.
That's why Halle Berry, her real loss in status is she went from Christopher Williams and Dave Justice to Eric Benet to two guys on a soup can who getting child support from her. Now she's with yet another washed up singer, from Eric Benet to the guy she's with now, Van Hunt. No offense, Van, it is what it is. But think about that for a few moments. You've fallen a long damn way from Wesley Snipes, Christopher Williams, and Dave Justice. Oh, I'm sorry. Those are the men you were with at the height of your abilities. Those are the men you were with in your prime. In your prime, you could be with the biggest Hollywood stars and the most accomplished sports athletes, the most sensible. Dave's a sensible guy. He's not a typical athlete tricking off his money. Yeah, she fumbled that ball because narcissism. Now take a look at her. She's with Van Hunt. And he's like, baby, you're more valuable to me dating than you are married. So, yeah. Van is just taking his turn and hoping that being with Halle raises his profile enough to sell another independent album. And we all see it. We all see it. But there's absolutely no incentive on his part to make a commitment to her. And she feels that. So what she really is just passing the time. I think at this point right now, I think the menopause thing is Halle Berry throwing in the towel.
Okay.
Halle Berry is throwing in the towel, and she's just accepting that this is what it's going to be. And she's going to try to hold on to Van Hunt as long as she can. But she's not going to pressure him or nothing because she doesn't have any leverage.
What is church girl Tony Braxton up to? You know, she said, I wish I would have been more of a slut when I was younger or whatever. What is this all about?
Tony wants to keep herself relevant because Tony has to make her own money because she doesn't make money off albums.
Okay. Gotcha.
She only makes money performing. There's no money on albums. So, and there's no man rushing in to grab her at 57 years old and take her away.
No.
That's not going to happen. The 72-year-old with old boy's mama, he's going to buy a key fob. That's what I said. He's going to buy a car fob. He's not going to buy a car.
Yeah.
Tony Braxton is expecting you to roll up in your Rolls Royce because after all, I am Tony Braxton. I have a residency in Vegas, at least I used to. We have a TV show in my family, even if we're wacky. And that's what she is expecting from you. And what I'm saying is, okay, just understand that's less than 1% of the population. And she's like, but I can't take a step down. What will Tony Braxton look like dating, the guy at the Sprint store like Fantasia? What's she going to look like? What would that look like?
Everybody ain't Birdman. Can't nobody do, once they with Birdman, what can another man do with that?
Well, she should have put a bid in with Babyface when she had the chance.
It's real talk.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. I got somebody else here on Zoom. I think I'll make this the last one. We've been on for like 4 hours, almost 4 hours. Well, we're doing better, y'all. Can't you see I'm cutting back? We ain't doing 6 hours anymore. Cutting back here a little bit here. Okay, an ominous name to be sure, by the way. Okay, we're going to give you 5 seconds here to go ahead and make sure if you're on Zoom, you need to make sure you have your camera and your microphone turned on. You have 5 seconds to get that taken care of for us here. Otherwise, it is permanent vacation. Okay. Permanent vacation here. So, folks, if you call up on Zoom, make sure you have your camera and your microphone turned on. But in this case here, don't worry about it. Folks, I hope I've explained to you why it doesn't work. I hope I've explained to you why 60 is not the new 20, 60 is the new 65. Yes, you can get another man, but you are going to have to get ready for some old dude. You're going to try to tell folks you living this adventurous life. She 58 years old talking about going on a damn camping trip. Baby, it's not like she's putting up no damn pup tents. It's not like she's hiking or carrying no rocks around. Please stop. 72 years old. What the hell kind of camping trip y'all taking? Please. They're going to go rent them a Winnebago at KOA campgrounds. Stop it. You're not going off in the mountains. You're not sitting up here with the bears. You're not starting any fires. That's not happening. You're going to get in where you fit in. And for some of them, you will not be able to get in at all. And that's not me talking. Quote the Raven, nevermore. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. If you are new here to the business, welcome to the program that all your favorite YouTubers love to hate watch. Click that red subscribe button, click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time that we're here. If you haven't joined our Patreon, we do that every weekend on Saturday. Something special coming up here now. Something special coming up. So for all my patrons, I suggest you be here today. As a matter of fact, we'll be doing this here in noontime today. So definitely go ahead and make sure you join us. I want to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program. We got the monetization back up and going. I'll get membership going at least here pretty soon. We'll see about that. Thank you to all my folks out here. Thank you to everyone who's contributed on Venmo. You know who you are. Thank you very much for your support. We appreciate that. Shout out here to Young Investor and everyone else who has contributed here on the Super Chat. Thank you very much for your support. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of The Business. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, Mr. Jason Black. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, handle your business or your business will handle you.